Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I am your host, Jose Galison, and this is Jeff. A little proof of life for you guys, this big boy. Now, if you like seeing this show, the Morning Dump, Monday through Friday, typically around 11 a.m. Eastern, that's the goal. We don't always make it. But if you like seeing my hot takes, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Or if you just want to see more of the kiddies of the day, like this big guy, then be sure to hit that bell for notifications. We'll see you in the show.
Beautiful thing, right now.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day. I am alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to white lights.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
Crazy evil.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. What is it, November 21st, Friday morning. Hope you guys are having a productive morning. I got a little workout. I'm a little bit late today, sorry. I mean, whatever. It's if anything, the late's the usual. I try to be on time, but hey, it's my old lady's Friday. I picked her up from work. She wanted to go look at some hardware for cabinetry because we're getting ready to do a kitchen remodel, which I guess is a little bit of a forewarning here in a couple weeks. There may the live stream, the morning shows maybe get a little dodgy. I don't know. I might see if I can't figure something out because the dynamic here in the house is like the reason why I do the live stream, the morning show is from this spot is because it's like the main area. No one's in the main house during the day, but my wife works nights, so she's sleeping. So. But my normal nighttime shows are set up in my studio, in my room. I have what's called a sitting room off to the side. But anyway, so I'm gonna have work being done around here. So I don't know. Maybe I might see if I can't steal one of my daughter's rooms. Although a lot of this is gonna be during vacation time, so they may be home too. I don't know. I might try to see if I can't shell away a certain corner of the garage or something. I mean, it is Florida, so it wouldn't be too hot or too cold. So I don't know. We'll figure something out, or we just may. It may just be hit or miss with the morning dumps here come December time. But that's fine. Whatever. That's when a lot of people take breaks anyway, spend time with family. So you may get a little bit of a morning dump hiatus or be kind of spotty. But hey, that's fine. But we have plenty to go through today. We have nuclear terrorist state. We'll be talking. We'll be diving a little bit more than usual into foreign policy, particularly into Israel. As always, we start off the show with icebreaker type stuff. Usually gen pop, funny, fun type things. I actually think I'm going to respond to some Dave's shit stuff today. For those who are really who are interested in that back and forth. My name, I know there was some gay drama that we addressed, and I even got a full title billing back, not too long ago. But I'm not even going to give it to a title. I even was debating whether even to address it, but I didn't want to. It was it was almost that need to have the final word. But then just thought about enough. I'm like, I feel like, and actually I think I heard back from a few people. So I was like, I'll at least say my part, but I'm not going to make a whole thing about it. It's there. I'm not hiding from it. But yeah, that'll probably be addressed in the icebreaker portion. Then we'll get into foreign policy after that. Obviously, we'll say our good mornings in between intermittently to the audience. And then during our foreign policy portion, we'll also go a little bit more in depth and kind of expand it out into a full nuclear terrorist state segment. We'll be talking about that's obviously Israel. And then we'll be talking about the completely unrelated flooded field of Epsteins, which that segment kind of speaks for itself. We have a ton to go through. We have a big old grab bag of Epstein stuff to go through. Just boom, 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 boom. Now, obviously now the big thing, though, is another drop site news piece in there, kind of hedging up the Israel Rothschild and Epstein connection there. So pretty interesting stuff. A lot of great reporting over at Dropsite. And then we'll be talking about modern Satanism, where I thread together a few different things that you would think would be disparate topics, but in fact they are oddly connected. We'll be talking about 764, the FBI's seemingly renewed commitment to push for it. It's been covered again, kind of on a big stage. So we'll be kind of analyzing that. Talking about the odd ties between Satanism of the, I don't know what, like the 90s-ish, I guess you could say, into the TPUSA of now. And then kind of we'll be covering some clips from the Sean Ryan show that kind of ties it all together, the whole 764, TPUSA, Satanism, everything, into some weird clips where it looks, the security is looking a little guilty. So we'll cover all that and more. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into some icebreaker type stuff. Be sure to hit the like button as you come in. It seems like the algo has not been as favorable lately, although to be fair, I haven't been as consistent lately. I've had a lot going on, so whatever. But yeah, let's help a brother out with that like button. And if you like what I do, feel free to support. And we got the QR code up here if you want to support the Patreon. Lowest level $2, you get a whole bunch of perks there. So if you don't want it, that's fine. Just please do the requisite nicety and leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, 5-star review, all that stuff. Let's get into some icebreaker comments. Let me scroll through, make sure I'm not sounding weird already. Okay, cool. No audio complaints, no nothing. Cool beans. Let's get into some icebreaker type topics. Let's start off with just kind of in the funny. Here's my buddy Toad. You made it into the icebreaker portion. There was a post put out yesterday saying Trump does not want to execute members of Congress, White House says. So this is some reporting. And then my friend of the show, Toad, says, I did not vote for this. So you got a laugh from me. Good for you, Toad. And you get featured. Moving on, more goofiness. We talked a little bit yesterday about the president calling one reporter a little piggy, which, I know, I think it was in response to a completely fair Epstein question, if I recall correctly. So, okay, but... So there is obviously a little bit of ingrained hilarity there, but also, I don't know, we probably shouldn't treat people this way, but either way, we're outside the situation, so we could just look and laugh and say, hey kids, don't act like this. But let's watch this.
Tomorrow, and I'll let the president speak for himself. Natalie.
Thank you, Caroline. What did the president mean when he called a reporter piggy?
Look, the president is very frank and honest with everyone in this room. You've all seen it yourself. You've all experienced it yourselves, and I think it's one of the many reasons that the American people reelected this president, because of his frankness. And he calls out fake news when he sees it. He gets frustrated with reporters when you lie about him, when you spread fake news about him and his administration. But he also is the most transparent president in history, and he gives all of you in this room, as you all know, unprecedented access. You are in the Oval Office almost every day asking the president questions. And so I think the president being frank and open and honest to your faces rather than hiding behind your backs is frankly a lot more respectful than what you saw in the last administration, where you had a president who lied to your face and then didn't speak to you for weeks and hid upstairs and didn't take your questions. So I think everyone in this room should appreciate the frankness and the openness that you get from President Trump on a near daily basis.
What a spin. What a great spin. You guys should all be thankful that he calls you little piggies. It comes full circle. Whatever, I think it's funny either way. They deserve it. They all deserve to be called little piggies. But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe not when they're actually doing what seems to be, I don't know, actual journalism. But either way, we could all laugh. A little bit less laughing, although I don't know. I guess there's probably humor to be had here. I just thought it'd be interesting to point out, hey, they just had Dick Cheney's funeral. There's some interesting photos, just kind of the power people there. I don't know who that is, but it looks like a milk truck just arrived. Some sort of longer Pelosi, some sort of Pelosi-ish type looking, like almost maybe like 20 years ago. Who's that guy in the top? Anyways, Fauci here. Oh, that's Carville. Maddow. We're just kind of a who's who. Just that's kind of interesting. Just to let you know, hey, that's a thing that's happening. We got these guys, a bunch of them, just all sorts of power couples abound. We see all sorts of hoity-toity folks at these sorts of events. So it's always interesting to see who's bumping elbows. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see when the next big person dies, who's there. These are irrelevant people the more time goes on. Speaking of irrelevant people, sort of irrelevant. He's losing irrelevancy. Every now and then there's an LOL to be had. But let's check in on Shmuley and see if there's an LOL to be had on his take on Epstein.
Hi, everyone. This house in front of which I'm standing has become a symbol of evil incarnate. This was Jeffrey Epstein's New York townhouse, 9 East 71st Street, right on the corner, Madison Park, so best location in New York. And it was like 7 stories. I have no idea who owns it now. Maybe some people think it should even be knocked down. How many women were abused, raped, molested, assaulted? The hundreds, maybe the thousands. And I'm now reading Virginia Giuffre's book, which is the #1 New York Times bestseller, called Nobody's Girl. Did I understand the full evil of sexual trafficking of girls, especially in the West? No. Did I know it was bad? Of course. Did I know it was evil? Of course. But there are so many evils in the world. But her book has touched me, especially as a father of 6 daughters, thank God, in a way that I can hardly comprehend. The tragedy of her suicide last April. And then I suddenly find myself orphaning 3 children when she'd just gotten her life back together. And then I suddenly find myself at the confluence of so many events that I'm in the Founderville on December 1st, 2024. Faiz Akbar, an Islamist, threatens to murder me. Then the billionaire owner of the Founderville, instead of apologizing, saying he'll retrain his security, that's all we asked for, to
God, this is like exhaustingly Jewish. I was hoping to get like an LOL out of this, but I'm just like bored and exhausted, and I'm just getting weird complaints that I know no context to. I guess we'll soldier through just to do the segment. Let's keep going.
Do the right thing and protect your Jewish guests, because I had been attacked at the same place a year and a half earlier by 3 other men, videos watched by tens of millions of people. He just decides to sue me into silence. And who is his lawyer? Sean Burstein, the same lawyer who was hired by Alan Dershowitz to accuse the same Virginia Giuffre of being a liar. Dershowitz said that she was a liar. She accused Dershowitz in a Netflix documentary called Filthy Rich.
I do got to throw out. I don't think we've covered on this show, just because it was way too niche, even for this show. I mean, I think I have it like bookmarked, and I was kind of like figured maybe at some point somehow it would connect to some other segment or something. But there's some sort of odd Shmuley, who's the other guy? And Dersh beef right now. Like I guess Dersh accused Shmuley of being some sort of like Qatari asset or something. It's very bizarre, very bizarre. But just this is they're creating I don't know, Jew dialectics within Jew dialectic arguments, like just kind of repeating itself, just like arguments within arguments, just like peak Jewery. It's just like the rubbing hand Jew, and then as you zoom into the hand, it becomes another rubbing hand Jew, and just over and over and over again. But let's keep playing.
Of essentially raping her as a minor 6 times. Well, they sued each other for defamation, and then Dershowitz, through Burstein, sued to silence Netflix and to remove the accusations against Dershowitz, and they came to some kind of settlement. And yet, Netflix never capitulated. The accusations against Dershowitz remain. But be that as it may, the real sin of Dershowitz, and hopefully what he did to Virginia Giuffre is not true, because she later would say that she's not sure, maybe, that was their settlement. But the real sin is that Alan Dershowitz represented Jeffrey Epstein. In 2008, he was given a sweetheart deal that got him into a camp fed where he was allowed to leave 12 hours every day to go to work, and then after that, he was completely released, and then who knows how many more hundreds of women were abused, raped. In this place behind us, Prince Andrew has now lost his royal title, and yet...
All right, yeah, I don't feel like we got anything out of that. I'm sorry I did that to you guys, although I guess it is kind of weirdly work out for the next segment, or the next little clip we're going to go into. I mean, I already see the comments in the chat talking about they all probably have their own infighting, just like libertarians, so... although we're going from one of those from one into the other, so let's cover. And if you don't like this, hey, I get it. It's gay. I didn't really feel like cover. I was like I said, I was waffling before whether we covered it or not, but it's kind of just been sitting on me, and I just wanted to address some of the things. I was brought back up. Essentially, once again, there are timestamps on this if you catch the replay, or go take a leak, whatever. Probably shouldn't take long what we're about to do. But there was a whole tiff. I covered it before. I don't know. You could probably find. I don't feel like recapping all of it because it was a lot. But feel free to go check back on the previous morning dump. I don't remember which one, but zoom back a little bit. It should have been probably one of the first topics on there. So it'd probably be like, no way, Jose, something, 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 the morning dump, and the first thing that should be like my message to Dave Smith or something like that. So that was to kind of get a recap of all the back and forth me and Dave had recently, and then we ended up talking on the phone, and I thought mostly squashing it. But then he responded, or not responded, but he said some shit on this. Anything like too crazy, but it just felt like it was stuff worth addressing. But he went back on my buddy Jacob Wintergrad, who's actually a sponsor of the show. Much love, brother. Me and him kind of jumped up in this game together around the same time. So we've been on each other's shows a lot. I love Jacob, great guy. But he had Dave back on his show, and to kind of, I guess this meta thing, I don't know. I guess Dave felt like he needed to respond to the whole Zulu thing, which was kind of, in a sense, sort of at the crux of the issue between me and Dave, although it was sort of, oddly enough, I guess I am relitigating things a little bit, but with the me and Dave thing, whenever it bopped off, before Zulu came after him and made this big video, like the weekend or the Friday prior or something, he had gone on a podcast with my buddy Clint, and he went on with Ian Carroll, and they talked about Fuentes, and there were some things that he said that really kind of, and there had been other things he'd done in the past. I kind of was like, oh shit, and I kind of noticed my incisive look was, I think Dave's getting a little emotional, and I think sometimes he has a tendency to get a little bit emotional. Now, Fuentes, funny enough, actually noticed the same thing for the same reason, a lot of the same reasons, although he took a little bit more of a myopic view and went straight for the J card, which, okay, fair enough. I will say, while I didn't characterize it that, looking in retrospect at all of the given little cards I have within this argument of the different things, you're like, they do seem to, I think, like, maybe all but like one of them do weirdly seem to tie up when the J thing comes into play. So I don't know, whatever. That's not how I actually saw it, but it's there. Something to see. But yeah, then he went back on, he went on this podcast with Jacob to address the whole Zulu thing. Oh yeah, I was recapping how I got there because I had actually noticed something and I had wanted to address it on the show, and I was going to address it on the morning show. It was like a Friday, and I was just kind of like, I was trying to chew on it and think of a way to say it without like being shitty, and like, because it is kind of at its crux saying you being a bitch. So trying to think of a way to, and then I think I'd even DM'd him that day or whatever, or like over that weekend. I was like, hey, I just want to let you know. So just kind of be like, hey, I have a critique. I'm going to bring it up, yada, yada, yada. Like, whatever. Like, and to be very clear, I really like Dave. I think he's a great guy. I think, I think he has a lot of great things to say. If anything, like my view on it is more of like a brotherly steel sharpened steel type thing. Like, slap him in the nuts, saying stop being a bitch. And hopefully he stops being a bitch. So like, and that was kind of the vibe. And so I did the DM, obviously, kind of like to let him know. It's the way I'm like not just kind of, hey, being real with you. And then the Zulu thing happened. And then I think I had commented or replied and said something like, something along the lines of like, maybe I just wanted to let you know, like, I sent you a DM, but I'm actually getting ready to do a similar, or doing a critique. It might be similar. I haven't watched Zulu's video at this point, or something along those lines. So like, hey, whatever. I mean, like, I'm getting ready to have something, just want to let you know. So it's like, I'm doing everything I can to be like, I'm not being a snake. I'm not being some backstabber. I'm just being very upfront about what I'm doing and trying to talk to you also behind closed, like behind the scenes. Like, there are DMs and there's no response, which is fine. That's fine. That's completely fine. I get it. This is a dude with like 1 million followers. He's not entitled to respond, but that's also like, bear that in mind and what the relationship is. Just saying. So just keep all the... So anyways, so like, I just feel like I went above and beyond, really, kind of behind closed door. And then even like some of the online things were like actually kind of, if you look at it a different way, me notifying him what I'm about to do. So, which is about to be, which I ended up doing, which kind of give my critique of like kind of the things that I found to be, what are you doing? And it just so happened that Zulu ended up doing a takedown that was far more focused on theory and, political chicanery and stuff. But it had a ton of overlap in a lot of similar sentiments. So I chimed in. I kind of had said, like, hey, he takes the L. And that's when I made something. And the thing he really took umbrage to was me saying he takes the L if he doesn't. What I meant by that was, obviously I didn't mean in a literal sense that, like, by definition, it's as if there was, like, a theoretical debate that was actually literally held, and therefore he won. No, what I mean is the sentiment of that this is boiled up to a point, and you've talked enough shit about this person, and this person has enough views and has enough of a name in the whatever the fuck, in the sphere, that it looks like you're dodging at this point. And I gotta be real, I watched Jacob's video, or watched this stream that he did with Dave, and I struggle to see that as like anything. He focused in on pretty much, he admittedly watched 15 minutes of Zulu's, which he told me, which is fine, of Zulu's thing. But then he goes and does like an almost 3-hour stream complaining about it when he only watched 15 minutes, which I'll admit, the beginning was boring. I kind of I skimmed through, I fast forwarded to the beginning of that video. So, and that's what Dave is focused on, whereas there's a ton of other stuff. If anything, and to be clear, I don't even really, I think something about Zulu's thing was like the crux was like, he's a poison to the movement, which I don't even really think that. I thought he brought some good points, and I think if anything, he earned a debate, and it looks wild to evade him, continue to evade him. And then I do also got to point out, it very much feels like, too, the times that like say this stream and other times he's addressed a possibility of even debating Zulu. It's also been hedged with this, like, but it's going to be a blood sport if we do it, which is like, okay, I don't know. I can't help but not notice. It just feels, this is kind of what I'm talking about. From the outside looking in, I can't help but, and I just feel like I'm saying what everyone else is probably thinking. It just looks weird. And like, all right, whatever. That's enough to I want to put where I was at, try to catch you up a little bit. But anyways, I did get mentioned in this, and I kind of, like I said, I thought about just kind of letting sleep dogs lie. But there was a couple of things I just felt like it was at least clarifying. So let's watch this.
For hardcore libertarians. And then to see the way he was just...
let me bring it down from a different speed. And then we'll get into actual serious stuff. But I don't know. This just didn't sit right with me. We'll watch this.
Utterly betrayed by so many of these.
Actually, let me make sure the audio is working first off. Yes, it is. Cool. Let's check in.
These people, like, I can't tell you this, and this is part of the reason why, because it's more so about him than it is about me, but it's part of the reason why I was like snappy with Jose Gallison, where he goes like, if Dave doesn't respond to Zulu, he takes the L. And I was like, what L do I take? What L do I take if I never talk to any of you ever again? What do you even, like, what do we actually mean by this here? What L do I take? In fact, I probably take an L by talking about this. The only W would be for me to just ignore this. My wife told me the other day, I was trending on Twitter for 10 straight days as all this shit was going on, having nothing to do with any of this shit. Like, there was nothing there that like, he needs to address this.
To be very clear, I guess in a certain sense, it's not literally needs to, but the point I'm driving at is I think anyone who really took the time to actually watch this video, which I'm not asking anyone to do so, if you watch it with an open mind, and obviously bear in mind this guy's super fucking salty, so like, he is obviously a little over the top. He brings up good points, and there's a lot of things in there. There's stuff that I've been saying for a long time, which I think you'll kind of see what kind of reveals itself a little bit here. But let's keep going.
It's just like, I kind of give a shit about this, but I gotta...
Oh, I guess the point I also want to drive at, too, it's kind of the idea of, like, I get it in a certain sense. Like, yes, you're going on huge stages. You're like, I'm talking to Candace. I'm getting all these. But it's like, kind of at your core, what's your base? What are you known for? Like, what is your brand? And it is kind of like, you are the most consistent motherfucker we know, is what you say. You are known for being the debate guy. I mean, you were the guy who was kind of made himself the face of the LP, was talking about political maneuvering. And so, like, although oddly enough within this, there is this like, I'm going to take my lumps. And it's like, at the same time, like, but are you really? I don't know. Not that anyone even really cares to get someone to take their lumps, but just being honest here.
Say, like, people like formulate, people who sit and didn't like contribute or attempt to any of this, which, like, fine, I don't care, like, that's okay. No one was saying you had to join the Libertarian Party or the Mises Caucus for that matter, but like,
catch that. Let's back up a little bit too. Let's try that again.
Going on, having nothing to do with any of this shit. Like, there was nothing there that like, he needs to address this. It's just like, I kind of give a shit about this, but I gotta say, like, people like formulate, people who sit and didn't like contribute or attempt to any of this, which like fine, I don't care, like that's okay. No one was saying you had to join the Libertarian Party or the Mises Caucus for that matter, but like
put a pin in that. Just put a pin in that. And if I want to remind people, real quick who the fuck I am. Like, I guess not everyone's followed by shit forever, but I started as like a theory bro. I'm very much not now. I'm just honest. So, but I will still do like live readings and stuff, but I'm not like, I don't feel like I'm overly embroiled in theory. But I was known for, from the start, the show started out as a libertarian theory thing. And I was like the one who, not that I ever really felt like I needed to make it my identity, but I was known as being the agorist guy. For anyone who's read Samuel Conkin's work, you know that like he basically, economically speaking, was very much in line with Rothbard, had beliefs in this is where we get ideas of like the counter economy and kind of trying to essentially tax evasion. But one of the big things is he's big on not being a believer in political, like voting, stuff like that. Like they don't believe that's the way. That's not going to work. Which that's kind of where I've been from the front jump. Now, I've never really, I mean, maybe for periods of time I was, but I've generally tried to not make it an insufferable thing because I don't like to be the annoying faggot that's like, you guys are being gay, because then they'll just be like, well, then fucking worry about your own thing. But I just feel like there's kind of a little have your cake and eat it too thing here that we'll see. But my point being is, from the jump, my whole perspective was, hey, I love you guys. We have a lot of similar theory beliefs and stuff when it comes to political maneuvering. But I don't think this LPMC thing is going to work out. I gave lots of reasons for it. It's like, hey, this is dumb. And if anything, at most, the best you can get out of this is perhaps some grifting, some raising your own individual profiles, which not saying anyone did that purposefully or not. But if you're looking at it from the outside looking in, what is there to gain from LP involvement from a big brain outside perspective, long range? What is there other than individual, like, parasitic type exploitation, essentially, like in a social type way? I from the jump was kind of like, I don't think there's anything there. So forgive me for not getting involved. Kind of looks like I might have been fucking correct in retrospect, which ironically enough, not that I don't think we're going to play it, but Dave literally comes to basically that conclusion that currently as the LP stands, he doesn't see any sort of viable anything there, that was my perspective from the start. But let's keep going.
Like, I watch people who didn't like ever lift a finger for any of this sit there and go, here's what it is. They sold out. They used to be radical and now they're pragmatic. When like Michael Heiss would be like, hey, New Hampshire, could you guys just not scream nigger at black people?
Because, yeah, that's a totally honest recap of that situation. Now, to be fair, I guess he is recapping a very quick situation, so that might be a little bit of an unfair characterization. But to be clear, let's be really, not to relitigate, you guys are welcome to go check out. There was actually, this struggle session was attempted to be had actually on my own podcast with me, Dave Smith, Clint Russell, Reed Coverdale, and am I forgetting somebody? But anyways, it was back then. It was back in the LPNH days, and I didn't rewatch this. I actually, funny enough, called Reed to be like, hey, what were the things? I forget what even was the thing in question here. I think there was one small little racial tweet or something that some people got in a tiff about, but it wasn't even that one. And that one was a little bit more sloppy. That was kind of like the easy, like, oh, we're gonna point this one, but it was literally a 6 million joke. Which it was like I think the joke was like $6 billion minimum wage or you're anti-Semitic. And then there was also the Happy Holidays Meghan McCain post they would do regularly, which got a lot of people up in a roar that God forbid we, bully war criminals and their children who support their war criminalry. So that was the ones there. No, I don't think it was quite them yelling nigger. I don't know if that account ever said nigger, but whatever. Once again, I guess kind of, to the Fuentes thing, it is funny. I asked could Reed, and I totally forgot that it literally was a 6 million joke, I think is what might have really plugged at the, oop, that hurts. Oops, oops, oh no, you touched the wrong button, which, whatever. I characterize that as just being emotional and like, whatever. Clearly is a joke. What is the thing here? It's obviously teasing minimum wage. But let's keep going. Man, I'm cold. Coolness house.
Like, would that be okay? Like, you know, we just launched this whole thing. If you could just not do that, and then a bunch of people are like, whoa, oh, so much for a decentralized revolution. I guess now we want central. And like, again, it's like this shit is just so dumb, dude. And this does get to like kind of the point that a lot of us have been making for a lot of years here. It's like, guys, if you ever want to do anything here.
Now this is now he makes a loyalty point. Now to be fair, he's conflating people here, but I just want to be very clear. I never joined this fucking party, so this is the cake and have it too. So like any of these, like, oh, we're gonna do this or we're gonna do that. I didn't sign on any of that. I think that shit's gay. So just throwing that out.
There's got to be like a baseline of like decency to your people who are trying to do something for you, a little bit of loyalty.
Be clear, I never thought these people were doing anything for me. Not on the political, LPMC, whatever. Like, I would make comments here and there when I thought they had good messaging or whatever, but I genuinely thought this was a thing doomed to fail. At best, I thought perhaps this could be like running in place. So... and maybe even at worst, maybe moving a little bit backward, diverting attention where it could have been more, but it could have been better used elsewhere. But I don't know. Either way, the LPMC failed.
I'm not saying loyalty. Like, I don't give a shit, dude. I know you've heard every goddamn one of my arguments about immigration. I've made them on your show to you many times, and you still come away going like, I don't really agree with Dave on it. Like, okay, whatever. You supported Josh Smith, and when I was supporting Michael Rechtenwald, tell me, Jacob, was that weird for 1 second in our relationship ever? You know, Jose Gallison never joined the party or the caucus or anything. Like, I don't know. I don't care about that. We could have a million disagreements, you know, but it's like, just like, don't betray people. Like, have like at least a little bit of like.
And now that right there is some bitch shit. Betray? I betrayed him. I'm sorry. It's too gay, but let's keep going.
Okay, there, you know, like it just seems to me, and like I guess that was kind of like my like part of the thing that bugged me about the whole thing was it was like, guys, you got people out there like taking arrows for you, like real arrows, like in this moment when dude, I'm getting it from.
All right. In this moment where I'm getting it, yada, 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 loyalty, something, 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 things are really rough right now. Well, bear in mind, what did I say earlier? Like this idea that this is betrayal. This is what I'm talking about being emotional. Whenever someone does something, engages in behavior, it's on the other person to interpret it. How is he interpreting this behavior?
All ends of the spectrum. I mean, arrows flying from every camp you could imagine. And like in that moment, you'd go like, let's try to take him down. Like,
is that taking you down? Or perhaps we're noticing things and we're concerned that you may take yourself down.
Let's not like at least kind of have his back. And again, I don't really give a shit about me because it doesn't matter if any of you guys have my back, to be quite honest. But like I do when I think about it with Michael Heiss, it's just like, I don't know, man. It's like a very similar thing to like where I said like how we'll never be able to get someone to run for president. We'll never be able to get like someone good to do this. Is because look at half the shit is you're getting torn apart by your own people for like.
I also want to be very clear, whenever Dave was getting so much fucking shit about not running, one of the few people who would chime up and be like, fuck you guys, he doesn't owe you a goddamn thing. Me, because he doesn't.
For not biting the bullets of yes, pornography should be available in full view of kids, or you should sacrifice your kid before you steal. Like this is again, as I've said, it's fundamentally unserious, and you can't have a serious movement if that's how the people in it are going to behave. And so that's my thing, that ultimately, like, whoever you want to blame, put the blame on me. That's fine.
Now, bear in mind, I want to say before this, there was like a little bit of a whole thing, because there was a little bit of context missed about like this diatribe about how great Michael Heiss is, and all the what a political genius or activist, and yada yada yada, and then it's like, and then all these people, you know, that come in and they don't even lift a finger, and then after he did all of this, you're like, because I didn't play your stupid fucking political game. Like, for one, like, I don't know. For one, a lot of the things people are upset about was him kind of putting his hands, doing these kind of weird maneuvering behind the scenes, which from me outside looking in, I'm like, this looks really gay. And I totally get why a lot of people are getting irritated by this sort of faggot behavior that going on behind the scenes, which whatever. But I didn't engage in that. And it's also this weird, like, oh, they didn't do anything. It's this weird kind of like LARPing, like, oh, we're getting votes. Like, meanwhile, like, yeah, I didn't fucking go out here and do this whatever national tour or anything. But in that period of time, I got out of active duty military. I got out of reserves. I've been working on improving my family. Like, I mean, I feel like, and actually funny enough, in this individual pursuit, I have actually probably increased liberty far more than I could from my own personal vantage point than like any of this faggot little like, oh guys, vote for me and like, oh, we all need to vote for this person. Oh, who's the next person we're gonna vote for? Oh, vote. Like, yeah. Like, I don't know. This is all just so fucking gay. Let's keep going.
But the reason why I'm not very big on the Libertarian Party in general is because, I just don't really see like the viable option there.
Yeah. I don't know, whatever. I just feel like I'm beat a dead horse, but he did also, I think he mentioned, I missed another clip. He mentioned something about like, Jose said, he casually just mentioned that, he accused me of being a little emotional, and then he kind of hand waved, like, but I don't think so. And then kind of then proceed to tell about how he was being emotional, which, okay, whatever. Like, I don't know. And he did say in there that, and I think I told you guys that even he admitted he was being emotional. And yeah, that was me just being like, yeah, I got a little bit bad faith there at the end because I was interpreting some of the things through all of his, what I thought was pretty crazy behavior, and still kind of do. But I was just being like, all right, if my complaint here is that you're being a little bit feminine and acting emotionally and kind of reading into things that you shouldn't, then I probably shouldn't engage in that even in the tiniest, despite the fact you've done it a lot right now. So whatever. I really do think if you look at that through, I know, good faith eyes, the interaction between me and Dave, especially bearing in mind there were DMs behind the scenes that were had that were like, hey man, I'm getting ready to do this. You're welcome to come on. Don't have to come on. That's fine. Whatever. But I don't want any accusations of, oh, you're stabbing me in the back. Oh, you're betraying me. Ooh, like, I never played in these political games. I don't know what loyalty is owed for coming on my podcast a few times. Like, I very much appreciate that. That was very cool. But yeah, it's also very bizarre, this weird kind of social expectation that seems to really only go one way and only be when someone's ego is bruised, perhaps. But once again, this was coming from a brotherly love type thing. I do think it's on the off chance you do see this or someone sees this, it's really, you can see this, oh, taking me down, but if anything, that's the bitch behavior I'm talking about. I mean, you can choose to be a bitch or you can choose to be better. I'd prefer you be better. So I do think this is really gay. So whatever. I think you should debate Liquid Zulu. I think you should try to keep it polite. But I don't know. This emotional, whatever this is, it ain't it. And I don't know. I'm not... I mean, I like you. You're friendly. If he unfollows me for this, I'm sorry. Whatever. But I know. Very bizarre. Very bizarre. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get into, let's actually say our good mornings, get into foreign policy. You guys can tell me if I'm being gay. I felt like I gave that all too much. But it's just this weird, like, social expectation when it's like, I really like Dave. I want to be very clear. I've never had anything but positive, well, I guess obviously other than this, mostly positive interactions, but I just kind of obviously objectively see things and go, oh, this happened, that happened, and I interpret it. But I don't know. It's also just like, I'm not gonna like, I don't know, what am I supposed to, I mean, you're one of the largest libertarian commentators in the world, and like, you've been on I've had you on my show a few times, and like, we've had friendly interactions, and what? Like, I don't know. It's just a very bizarre, like, so I can't, even after going through like every available avenue to like politely be like, hey, I'm about to give you a critique. Like, what the fuck? Let's say our good mornings. Good morning, Comment Mama. Good morning, Daz. Good morning. Good morning, Tilla Spook. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Tony Chin. This is Good Morning, Knife Safety Plus. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Who else we got here? Good morning, Nevsky. Everyone's talking about poop in the chat. That is actually why I was late, not to be gross. Good morning, Jenna. Good morning, good morning. By the way, your little avatar profile is a cutie, so that's cool. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Ray. Good morning. Good morning, Real John Doe. Who else we got in here? Hey, say what now? Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Tyler. So did you see the possible TPUSA connection to Satanist Michael Aquino? Yeah, we're going to be covering that. Yes, we are. By the way, I need to get you back on the show. I don't know if you missed it, but I don't know. Whatever. I figured may as well bury the hatchet. So good morning, Kyle. Good morning, good morning. Good morning. Did I say good morning, Bug Fights? I think I did. Good morning. Nevsky says, the art of deal and anchoring. Threaten the worst, so when you take a lesser action, it's not so bad after all because the worst option didn't happen. I'm not sure what it's referring to, but yeah, he does a whole lot of art of the deal. That's for sure. Good morning, Marna-Mac. Good morning, Mac. Good morning. Who else we got in here? Good morning, LFW. Says, my boy has a red beard too. Good on you. Talking about Shmooly, I'm guessing. Ew. Good morning. Oh, I say good morning to you. Good morning, Chuck Bam. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Gerald Hall. Says Jose loves Jacob Hammer. This is all cover for his love affair. Chuck says, I'm sick of Dave, not I'm against him. I'm not against him either. Tom says the Zulu guy is a cringe theory fag and isn't worth anyone's time. I gotta say, like, I don't know. I think the little bit I've looked into him, he's fine. I mean, whatever, it's not exactly my cup of tea. I'm not really embroiled in like theory like that these days, but a little bit of his content I've liked. So I don't know. I mean, yes, he's into theory. I don't know. So am I. I mean, I don't know. Somewhat, just not to that extent anymore. Buckfight says, love you, Jose, but I would totally ignore Zulu if I was Dave. Well, I think a lot of things that people are missing, to be very fair. I understand. There's a 3.5 hours of context you guys are missing, and I don't expect any of you guys to check it out. But I think it's very, very clear, and it kind of actually a lot of the stuff in there, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot all about that. But there's a lot of history. Dave's talked a lot of shit about this guy, to be honest. So, and there's been a lot of back and forth. So I guess you aren't owed that, but it does at a certain point when you kind of do this weird dance, people start going, this looks weird. And I think enough people have seen it looking weird. And the core issue, in my opinion, I know that it's like a lot of people are kind of obfuscating what the issue was, but I think it's been very clear with this rough group of people, their main contention was border stuff. So, and I think if anyone's been, I know a lot of people, including my audience, were very border, type people. I think if you're being very honest with yourself, if you just see the results of things as they are now, it should at least raise some questions and be like, we should maybe reattack this. And I actually do think, no, there was not really anybody that Dave debated on the issue that was really anybody of worth. And I don't even know if I necessarily agree with Zulu. All I'm saying is I think he's more, I mean, he did a pretty goddamn good takedown, in my opinion, of a lot of shit that I've noticed, a lot of the political stuff. Now, at the end of the day, he still actually believes that he's like, oh, we should use LP or whatever. I don't even believe that. So I have a lot of disagreements with the guy, but I just think he's more than earned his chits, and I think it kind of comes off weird, so trying to ignore it at this point. So given all the things that have happened. So Chuck says, I don't wake up thinking, what did Dave say? Yeah, I don't either, which is why it's kind of weird. Comment Mama here saying, I watched it. He had good points. Yep. Let me see. Am I beefing with Dave? I don't know. Maybe he gets mad about it. I mean, whatever. It kind of is what it is. I just thought it was weird. And it's just kind of, I just got to be very, I guess I just felt like it needed to be said that, like, if there's any illusion of some sort of weird, bizarre loyalty, let me stamp that rate real quick. Because, like, while I really like Dave and, like, I also, let's be real, I would actually like to have, it would be cool if I had, well, it sounds gay, I like Dave. Like, he's the kind of guy that if he was a regular fixture in my life, some sort of friend, I think that was really cool. He would be someone I could see being a regular in that regards. But he's not. So, like, it's like, but he's not. That's fine. So once again, not at all asking him to be, but it just is I just want to be very clear. This is this weird expectation as if like there's certain things owed to one because of things or something. And this is a thing I've heard about a lot of people, even like the Fuenteses of the world. I've heard, like, I think it was Daryl Cooper I heard say some shit like this about some people like, oh, they've had their whatever, they've been, downtrodden on, they did their time, they yada yada yada, they deserve this, they took their arrows. Like, dude, You have like 1 million followers and are like one of the largest influencers in the world. You have gotten the requisite like rewards for this. What is this like? Anyone owes you a goddamn fucking thing. Like, cool. Yes, there also was this like, thing that came along with it that likely resulted in ideas that I agree with also being advanced. But to act like this is like, well, thank you. Oh, thank you. Like, what? Like, I appreciate it, but like, shut the fuck up. Like, I don't know. It just comes off as really, 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 really gay. So I don't know. But let's keep going. Bully Megan McCain says knife safety plus. So let me see. Gerald Hall saying there is no political solution. Exactly. JB says he means if you want any libertarian leaning policies enacted, you can't be a full autist theory bro. And I guess to some extent I agree. You have to actually have social skills. It's not wrong, but I don't think that's what was going on. Exactly. Tom captured it here. Like, you betrayed your casual acquaintance, Jose. Shame on you. That doesn't even fully capture it. You betrayed your casual acquaintance after going through every reasonable social norm in order to mitigate the appearances of that being the case. So it's just very bizarre to me. Good morning, user. Good morning, Chad. Good morning. Good morning. Cheryl's just calling him homo. Which he's not. I really like him, to be very clear. I just have to. If that means I don't get someone coming on my show, so be it. Like, I don't know, whatever. This is a cross I bear, I guess. But I feel like it just needs to be said. Bug Fights is a heist Winnie the Pooh, Whiny the Pooh bit on TG still makes me laugh. You're gonna have to find that one. That's pretty good. Maybe we'll make that like an outro. There are some good TG bits that we need to like maybe repurpose or something that I forgot even exists. Marnimax says Nick's got nothing on the Jays victim mentality. Yeah, which is wild because you'll hear Dave, say nigger, and that's fine. I think that's fine. I mean, depending on the context. Like, obviously, if he was like berating small black children, I'd be like, whoa, dude. But if you're using it in the form of a joke or to reference something, great, whatever. But it is weird that as soon as the 6 million jokes, it's like. And it is this thing where I don't know, maybe, do you guys sound off in the chat? it really is bizarre. It feels like this gaslighting where like, I don't know if it's just because Dave is like some city Jew or something and like who, has been, of the cities in the world, New York is kind of one of the more rough and tumble ones. So I guess as a city slicker, they are the sort of people who get themselves, build themselves up in their head as being like more, offensive or, kind of rough around the edges than they are. But like, yeah, I don't know. For me, like, I guess growing up in the country, as a little country, I see like a lot of stuff that these sorts are like, oh, this crazy, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, I know people's grandmas who say nigger, like, and mean it. Like, I don't. It just is kind of like like some sort of 100-year-old fucking race or demographic related. Horrifying act that I had absolutely nothing to do with. Yeah, I have zero problem with laughing about making jokes in reference to, and the idea that this makes it be us unserious. It's like, well, then fine. Like, I don't know. It's this bizarre like trying to appeal to the norm. Like, no, I'm not doing that. So no. He says knife safety says having kids and raising them right does more than the LP ever could. Yeah. All right, let me see. See if there's anything else worth going. I think he says, I think Dave is talking more about loyalty amongst libertarians rather than him personally, but maybe I'm overthinking it. I don't know. I can't help but weave those things in. It seems weird to me. Good morning, King David. Good morning, Marty. Good morning, Q Burt. Says all that shit is gay. If you still believe that your vote counts towards who's next elected president, I can't help you. Voting is green lighting your next slave master. For the most part, I pretty much agree. Good morning, Retardo. Good morning, Clover. Saying what's up, fam. Good morning, Gottis. Says feed me the foreign policy. We're about to get into it. Someone's asking which Dave. Dave Smith. Who else we got? Let me see. Who else in there? All right, JB. Hey, the lady in the park had every right to call that black kid an N-word. Yeah, actually, whatever. I mean, given the scenario that he stole it, I actually wasn't referring to that. Actually, funny enough, I will. I don't know. Well, it's probably not the nicest thing to do. From my understanding, he was kind of older and he was literally stealing from her. So if there's ever a time to say it, that was probably the time. So, all right, guys, let's get into some foreign policy. Let's get out of this gay shit. I got that off my chest. It just feels gay. It just feels weird, and it's just like, what is this? Yeah, don't get me wrong. A Dave Smith appearance on the podcast is a really great, it's great, but that's what is that? Like maybe $25? Like, cool. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just a very odd. I know. I felt like it needed to be said, although it felt like almost like I don't know, just a betrayal. What? Just bizarre to me. Whatever. Let's move into foreign policy. All right, let's check it. Oops, sorry, I gotta bring up the page. Here we go. All right. Top military lawyer raising illegal concerns about boat strikes. So the lawyer at the Southcom, which oversees the operations against alleged drug smuggling boats near Venezuela, disagreed the strikes are legal and was overruled, according to 6 sources. So essentially, we got NBC News saying they got sources saying that their interior lawyers, one of them was basically saying, hey, what the fuck? So his views were sidelined, and then according to the other sources there, so the senior military lawyer for the combatant command overseeing lethal strikes on alleged drug smuggling boats, the lawyer who served as the senior judge advocate general, or JAG, at Southcom in Miami, raises legal concerns in August before the strikes began in September. According to 2 senior U.S. officials, 2 senior congressional aides, and 2 former senior officials. His opinion was ultimately overruled by more senior government officials, including officials at the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel, the 6 sources said. Other JAGs and military lawyers at various levels of seniority weighed in on the boat strikes as well. It's unclear what each of their opinions were, but some of the military lawyers, including civilians and those in uniform, also expressed concerns to senior officials in their commands and the Defense Department about the legality of the strikes. The 2 senior congressional aides and one of the senior former U.S. officials said. So, yeah, not looking good, there's been other stories like this already. But moving on to the Israel side of things, Israel's killing more Palestinians. Surprise, surprise. So they've killed 5 more in Gaza. So they killed at least 5 and wounded 18 on Thursday as they continue to violate the ceasefire deal, bringing the death toll to over the previous 24 hours to more than 30. So they were lumping that into that previous batch that we talked about yesterday, where they just, for seemingly no reason, just murdered a couple dozen people because supposedly Hamas attacked, despite there being nothing to indicate that whatsoever. So yeah, more murder coming from Israel. And then they're doing the same thing in West Bank. So the Human Rights Watch said in a report on Thursday that Israeli military's forced displacement of Palestinians in 3 refugee camps in northern Israeli-occupied West Bank amounts to ethnic cleansing and war crimes. The IDF began a major military offensive in the northern West Bank in January 2025, dubbed Operation Iron Wall, which began after a temporary Gaza ceasefire deal was reached. The IDF quickly displaced tens of thousands of residents of the Jenin, Tulkarm, and Nur Shams refugee camps and began destroying many of their homes. At the time, Israeli Defense Minister Israeli Katz said the Palestinians wouldn't be able to return, and he has kept that promise. The HRW said that the approximately 32,000 people who have been forcibly removed from the camps have been unable to return. Since the raids and forced displacement, Israeli authorities have repeatedly and uniformly denied camp residents the right to return to the camps, even though there are no active military operations taking place in the vicinity. Israeli soldiers have fired upon people trying to reach their homes, while only very few whose homes have been slated for demolition have been permitted a short window to return to collect essential belongings. Here's a video of some of the carnage going on in the West Bank, them torturing dozens of cars and buildings. Let's make sure audio. Let's play this. No, there's no audio, but you can see all the shit they've set on fire and stuff over here in the West Bank. To be fair, it is a grainy video, but I mean, we've been reporting on this for a while. This is pretty well ongoing. All right, moving on. We got more of the craziness of Israel. We got the Lebanese prime minister says Israel's blocking talks as Palestinian refugees mourn slain in Tuesday attack. This is from Jason Ditz over antiwar.com. Says fear about the deteriorating situation on the Israel-Lebanon border is mounting, and the U.S. policy has been to pressure Lebanon to enter into direct talks with Israel, something Lebanon has repeatedly offered to do. Prime Minister Nawaf Salam reiterated Lebanon's willingness to enter into talks, but noted that Israel kept refusing to meet and is effectively blocking the talks, even though nominally Israel keeps insisting to the U.S. that it is the one seeking discussion. So, I mean, that's the crux of the story for the game, of what's going on here. This is the game they play. They go, oh, U.S., you need to tell Lebanon they need to talk to us. And then Lebanon tries to talk to them. They go, we're not talking to them. Now here's what Salam said. He said, that's a puzzle for me. They ask for negotiations, and we show readiness. They don't agree to the rendezvous. Seems to be we know exactly what they want here. And then kind of getting to the main first titled topic of today. We're going to be talking about Jonathan Pollard. Mike Huckabee apparently held a meeting with him. Said the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Huckabee, held a meeting at the U.S. Embassy in July, this was back in July, with Jonathan Pollard, a former American intelligence analyst who was convicted of spying on the U.S. on behalf of Israel. The New York Times first reported on, oh shit, I just realized I have these out of order. Ah, crap, whatever, we'll come back to the other one. I just realized, fuck, that's totally not the order I want to do. All right. Whatever, we'll come back to this. Time said it first learned at the meeting that from 3 U.S. officials, and that when asked about it, Pollard confirmed that it took place. He said that it was the first time a U.S. official hosted him at a U.S. government office building since he was released from prison after serving 30 years for spying. Look at this aggressively Jewish-looking man. So Pollard was initially given a life sentence for his espionage, but he was released on parole in 2015. 2020, Pollard's parole ended, and he was able to move to Israel, where Netanyahu gave him a hero's welcome on the tarmac. What's interesting is Sheldon, I think it was Sheldon Adelson or whatever that I think was the one who arranged the ride on his own little private jet, I believe, too. So yeah, apparently he's not too happy too with some of the people, which is going to be kind of play into the topic today. So anyways, let's see what he had to say about the meeting. This is what Carolyn Leavitt actually had to say about it. She says, the White House was not aware about this meeting. It says the president stands by our ambassador, Mike Huckabee, and all that he's doing for the U.S. and Israel. Now, here's where it is kind of interesting. Apparently, he actually has some critiques of some of these Trump administration officials, some of his right-hand men, saying that his spies is Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. Here's what he says. So for people like that to carry on with terrorists who murdered our people and who have organized efforts to discredit Israel, I find abhorrent. He says Steve Witkoff can meet with the people who ordered our people to be butchered on October 7th, and nobody seems to think that's a problem because, well, he's working on peace. No, he's working on his bank account, Pollard added. So, yeah, this is... Then he's also threatened nuclear weapons, using nuclear weapons, and he's flirted with running for the Knesset. So let's hear what's his face, John Kiriakou had to say about this over on Redacted News. Bear in mind he's a spook as well, Kiriakou, but thought this would be kind of interesting to see his take. So let's watch this. Of course the audio's out. Give me a minute. All right, 1 second. Sorry. Of course, StreamYard's glitching. Let's watch this.
Jonathan Pollard, as you noted, was arrested in 1985 and charged with spying for Israel. He did not do it for ideology, which is what he wants us to all believe. He did it for money. They paid him cash, just like the Soviets used to do with their spies, or the Chinese. He did it for cash. And he gave the Israeli government tens of thousands of pages of documents classified at the top secret level, not just run-of-the-mill secret CIA documents or confidential State Department documents, top top secret military intelligence and NSA documents the Israelis gave to the Soviet Union in exchange for the Soviets then releasing Russian Jews to emigrate to Israel. So it's not just that he spied for Israel and Israel learned our secrets. Israel took those secrets and traded the secrets to the Soviet Union, our greatest enemy on the planet at the time. He's lucky that he wasn't executed for what he did, because God knows Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were executed probably for less, at least in the case of Ethel Rosenberg. So for our ambassador, the American ambassador, to number one, meet with Jonathan Pollard, number two, to meet with him off the books, which is another thing that we learned in this revelation today. And to number three, not get the permission of the White House or the office of the Secretary of State is unforgivable. I have worked in American embassies around the world for half of my adult life, and I know how business is conducted, especially business by American ambassadors. If you're going to meet with anybody that's even a little bit controversial, you have to cable the Secretary of State and say, Mr. Secretary, I'm thinking of having a meeting with Jonathan Pollard. Here's what I intend to say. We're not going to inform the media, or we are going to inform the media. If the request is that sensitive, it will be referred to the National Security Council, specifically to the National Security Advisor, who's supposed to be the adult in the room. In this case, Secretary Rubio is both Secretary of State and National Security Advisor. But then the White House weighs in and would say, absolutely not. It doesn't promote or advance American foreign policy in any way, and it doesn't help the President of the United States in any way. Another thing that we learned today is that this meeting didn't take place yesterday. This meeting took place in July, and it was never on Ambassador Huckabee's calendar. So
time frame is going to be important. Let's keep going.
So it was never leaked to the press. Finally, someone who knew about it leaked it. And what we learned from the New York Times and the Washington Post this morning was that the CIA station chief in Jerusalem was apoplectic that this happened. And there were at least 3 whistleblowers inside the embassy that so objected to it that they finally went to the media and said that Ambassador Huckabee had done this.
It's about the U.S. Embassy in Israel and what that would look like from a security perspective, welcoming him into U.S. sovereign territory. And that's what that is at the end of the day.
Someone who wants American
Sure
bonds.
is.
That's a good question.
You know, he's literally inside of U.S. sovereign territory in a foreign country. That's what embassies are, right, at the end of the day. And he's a...
By the way, the nuclear strikes, or not the strikes on the nuclear facilities, I just looked up to get the exact date. Those happened June 22nd. So I think maybe, just maybe, it may be pertinent that I guess what they're saying this is in July. I don't know. We don't know exactly when, but let's keep playing.
Traitor to the United States, and he's there. I mean, shouldn't he have been arrested when he walked in? I mean, what sort of security would happen?
You know, that was my first thought, that if I were Pollard, I would have been afraid to enter the American embassy because I would have been afraid to be arrested. With all that he said, advocating using nuclear weapons against the United States, I would consider him to be a threat, and I would have arrested him. When I've worked in embassies around the world, whenever there was a VIP visitor for a meeting, everybody in the building knows it. Everybody. And it turns out that Ambassador Huckabee and the deputy chief of mission approved of this visit and met with him without telling the CIA. And as I said, without cabling the State Department and telling the Secretary of State, we're going to do this really, really controversial thing. And we just want you to know beforehand that this is what we're doing. I would ask Ambassador Huckabee, what possible good for American foreign policy did you think this was going to accomplish? And my only response remains that Ambassador Huckabee should resign. And if he doesn't resign, he should be fired. In all the years that Jonathan Pollard was in prison, he was in maximum security prisons. The last one was in Butner, North Carolina. Every single time that an Israeli prime minister visited the United States, they would ask for Jonathan Pollard's release. And every single time they were told, no, he won't be released. Bill Clinton toyed with the idea briefly of releasing him in the late 1990s, and George Tenet and all of the heads of the intelligence agencies in the U.S. government said that they would resign if he were to be released. And then the idea went away. So he did his full 30 years, but then all of a sudden gets VIP treatment at the American embassy in Jerusalem.
Unbelievable. This is unbelievable. This is not a story.
Yeah, wild shit. And to really drive the point home, like I didn't even think about the point that Kiriakou brought up there, the fact that he's literally walking on United States ground as a foreign trader who has said, I mean, I guess to be fair, I think he did his time, he got let out, but since then he has said insane shit. And like I said, I think he's been flirting with the idea of running for the Knesset. So this guy may have legitimate political power, and I think, from my understanding of the sort of influence and notoriety Pollard has, he probably already has soft political power as it is. So I do think it is significant we see him meeting with Huckabee on the feet, or on the heels of the Iranian nuclear attacks. But let's watch. Let's this really just show why it was such a fucking big deal that he was there and didn't get arrested and was treated in such a manner.
Admit this. We are now feeding.
This is him, by the way. This is past footage with him.
Our enemy. I mean, this has never happened in history before, and you have to ask why. And I don't want to hear this business that it's consistent with Jewish morality. It isn't. Anybody saying that doesn't know anything about Jewish morality at all. Oh, let me bring you back to October 1973, during the Yom Kippur War, when Henry Kissinger instituted an arms embargo against us. And what happened? What happened was an A-4 Skyhawk was parked at Tel Nof Air Base with some interesting weapons under its wings. And we told the Americans, take your eye in the sky and take a good look at the airplane that's on that runway. And the next day, the airlift started to Israel, the arms airlift.
So in other words, we threatened their...
We threatened to use unconventional weapons. I'll leave it at that. And so he said, is this what you want us to threaten now? I said, absolutely, except this time I want us to go forward with it if necessary. If they think we're bluffing, we go forward with it. Look, as far as I'm concerned, when we are faced with an existential threat, we have the right to use any and all weapons in our disposal to eliminate that existential threat. A lot of people don't know anything about nuclear weapons at all. What they are, how they can be used. And I'm tired of using euphemisms. I'm tired of saying, well, we have something, in the basement, but we won't be the first to introduce nuclear weapons in the Middle East. It's enough already.
This guy's very clear. I mean, he's barely dancing around it, just straight up saying we need just to be aggressively offering to use nukes. And I think he may even have been quoted in there, something along the lines, and if they call us on it, then we do it. You're like, oh. Well, that may be more than just a little itty-bitty thing to be concerned about. This may be something affecting real-world policy. Let's pop back in on Kiriakou. He has more to say on this.
The reason, though, I'm told, that Donald Trump decided to bomb Iran was that the Israelis said, for the first time, if you don't bomb Iran to take out these deep bunkers, we're going to use nuclear weapons. And they had never threatened that before. And so Trump said, bombing Iran might actually save us from the start of World War III if it keeps the Israelis from using nuclear weapons.
So according to your source, the Israelis told the President of the United States that if he did not use the United States military power to bomb the nuclear facilities in Iran, Israel, acting on its own, would use nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
Do you see why there's a problem with that statement, John?
Yeah.
Because they've never admitted that they've had them.
That's right.
So you're telling me that they just admitted to the President of the United States that they have nuclear weapons and we still do not have them in the IAEA treaty?
I mean, if Israeli nuclear whistleblowers are to be believed, yeah, they've had them. They started working on them in the 50s. They got them around the late 60s or the early 70s. Look at Mordechai Vanunu.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't charged for treason for nothing.
That's a guy who they hid in Rome, the honeypot.
Yeah.
This really is just like, when you really zoom out and think about this shit, it is just insane. Like, had a nuclear program since like the 50s, has acted like they don't. They're like behind closed doors, almost certainly threatening to bomb people or with nukes if they don't get the things they want. So we have literally overt, we will destroy your country via bombs, or we will destroy you via blackmail. It's just insane. It couldn't be any clearer at this point. Anybody fucking stumping for Israel, you whew. All right, moving on. Israel just received its 1,000th aircraft carrying U.S. military supplies since October 7th. So for those looking for fun little high scores, they've hit 1,000 for aircrafts for bringing supplies since October 7th. We've also, I think we basically hit 100 on the Somalis. They've done 99 is the current one. They did a couple more. They did a series of strikes, is what they called it, in the Puntland region a couple days ago. But they only called it a series. They didn't say how many. So Dave DeCamp's only counting this as 2, bringing it up to 99. So we're almost to the high score of 100. I know it's a warped way to look at things, but hell, it's only... we don't know shit about what's going on there, and just kind of, hey, reminder, this is what's happening. The previous record was around 60, and it was Trump. So we're just rampantly bombing over in Somalia for seemingly no fucking reason, for those who are interested. But a little bit of a positive. Looks like, I don't know. I mean, at the very least, we're doing the old back and forth whiplash. When it comes to the Ukraine-Russia thing, but it looks like they're making an attempt at peace again, so hey, that's cool. As one nuclear power or nuclear concern subsides, another one rises, Israel. But yeah, Zelensky met with U.S. Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll on Thursday and told him that he's willing to work with the Trump administration on a new plan to end the war with Russia, citing U.S. and Ukrainian officials. The Trump administration has drafted a 28-point peace plan with input from Russia that would require Ukraine to cede what territory it still controls in the Donbass and accept limits on its military. And then here's from Zelensky. He says, our teams of Ukraine and the U.S. will work on the provisions of the plan to end the war. We are ready for constructive, honest, and swift work. Which, I gotta say, language-wise, this is probably the strongest I've heard so far. U.S. official told Axios that Zelensky and Driscoll agreed on an aggressive timeline for signature, signaling the Trump administration wants to get the deal done quickly. But the report also said that the U.S. would take Ukraine's concerns into account and potentially alter the plan. So, yeah, might get some changes. I don't know. I expect some changes for it before it's all said and done. But, hey, I'm just surprised this is happening at all. All right, let's pop to the chat, see what you guys got to say, and then we'll get into the next topic, into some Epstein stuff. Let's check in the chat, see what you guys got to say. We got Qbert says, I've always said nigger in Jacksonville, too. We got Tom33 saying from BFE, Ohio, same. Let me check who else we got. Good morning, Hitchcock. This is, sorry, I actually don't think you're homos. Appreciate it. Who else we got in here? All right. Jews are masters of the universe is Hitchcock. Direct quote from Norm Coleman, like they're fucking He-Man or some shit. Then Tilla Spooks says, I heard something recently about the first pope was a rabbi. Martian was right, etc. Well, I've never heard of that. I don't know if we got any of our resident J experts in the chat. Feel free to chime off. I'd be interested to hear about that. All right, let's get into kind of perfectly tying from one topic into the other. Here's Benjamin Netanyahu letting us all know that apparently Jeffrey Epstein claimed to have meddled in Israel's elections. This is over from Jacobin. Let's see. Who knows? I'm not even going to bother reading it. That's no, let's get. Never mind. We can read it. I thought it was paywalled. Maybe we'll read a little bit of this so we can at least get the crux of why is Netanyahu sharing around stuff that you would think maybe make him look a little bit bad. I mean, there's been all sorts of information coming out showing the degree to which he worked with, which Epstein worked with Israel. Now there has been stuff in the past. I know Netanyahu where he's kind of angled as Ehud Barak as if he's the deep state, and so he's kind of done the silly little Trump thing where he's portrayed it as like him versus the deep state while you're basically the deep state. So I guess Ehud and Benjamin have been longtime political rivals. So he's kind of framing this in the same way that Trump's, impotently trying to do with the Epstein stuff over here, framing it as like a conservative Democrat left-right. He's making a similar such divide, but with more Israeli sort of sensibilities that I think us American people may not pick up on. But let's get into this article from Jacobin. It says, newly released files show Jeffrey Epstein claiming to have been involved in Ehud Barak's 2019 election challenge to Netanyahu. It's well past time to ask questions about the billionaire pedophile's links to Israel. It says, now you can understand why Trump wakes up in the middle of the night sweating when he hears you and I are friends. That's one of the sensational, damning Jeffrey Epstein messages that has been roundly quoted since being extracted from the more than 20,000 documents signed by the House Oversight Committee last week, seeing reference to the Epstein power held via the damaging information he had amassed on the rich and influential, the now president included. Yet oddly, what has been universally left out of media coverage of that quote is what it was in reference to. Epstein appeared to be taking credit for former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak's re-entry into Israeli politics in 2019, which aimed to topple current Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the second of what would be 3 Israeli elections in a year. The quote's missing context fits squarely with the unofficial omerta in the mainstream press on discussing Epstein's relationship to Israel, namely the long-standing claims and rumors that the billionaire pedophile had been an asset or otherwise worked for Israeli intelligence. Those aren't claims and murder or rumors anymore. Those are just plain, simple fact. If you've read the drop site news, the right site stuff, by the way. Oh, well, actually, they included it. That code of silence has been on the verge of breaking down over the past month after DropSite published a series of stories based on Barak's hacked emails showing Epstein quietly carrying out work on behalf of the Israeli government. On Sunday, former Donald Trump ally, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, pointed to DropSite's reporting while on CNN to charge the right question to ask is, was Jeffrey Epstein working for Israel? A charge met with pushback on the network. The Oversight Committee's release sheds further light on Epstein's entanglement with Israel, primarily through the figure of Barak, long a known associate of Epstein's, who has insisted that he only saw the convicted pedophile on occasion and never in the presence of women or girls. The recently released tranche of emails adds to a raft of disclosures in recent years that shows the two men were far closer than Barak publicly let on. Ironically, many of those disclosures came in the wake of Barak's apparently Epstein-backed attempt to reignite his political power. In June 2019, after spending years attacking Netanyahu's increasingly extreme and corruption embroiled rule, Barak, a former defense minister and military chief of staff, officially came out of retirement and formed a new party to challenge him. In a chat with former Trump advisor Steve Bannon that month, Epstein implied the move was his doing as he shared a report from Israeli outlet Ynet Global about Barak's announcement. I've been busy, Epstein wrote in a follow-up message. Wow, Bannon replied. Jacobin has cleaned up Epstein's bizarre punctuation for clarity, they said. I'm dealing with Ehud in Israel, making me crazy, Epstein elaborated 12 minutes later. Ehud massive. Can we announce I'm his strategic advisor? Bannon asked. That's kind of wild. This will be a long campaign. Elections on September 17th. Lots to talk about, Epstein wrote back. This is brilliant move, wrote Bannon. Thanks. Only the first step, Epstein replied, before writing the quote that has been so widely spread in the past week free of its context. Now you can understand why Trump wakes up in the middle of the night sweating when he hears you and I are friends. Dangerous, replied Bannon. So obviously framing this more as like the concern is maybe Trump being more concerned about losing his Israeli ally, perhaps, is a seemingly kind of what they're getting at. Since there are no other details in Epstein's emails about his claimed involvement in Barak's campaign, though he may have been hinting to Bannon that something like it was in the works. Month earlier, Epstein had, apropos of nothing, sent Bannon a BBC report on Netanyahu's failure to form a coalition government in the wake of Israel's April 2019 election, which has triggered another round of elections to be held that September. Will Ehud be prime minister? Bannon asked him at the end of June. Doubtful, replied Epstein. But 1, he is not to be underestimated. 2, unlikely top job, but depends on coalition. 3, driving me crazy. This is what helped sink Epstein's dangerous plan to reshape the Israeli landscape was, fittingly, Epstein himself. Not long after these messages, the billionaire was arrested and charged with sex trafficking minors, and a series of scandalous new revelations about Barak's ties to Epstein soon follow. Netanyahu made them the centerpiece of his political offensive against Barak, going so far as to officially request an investigation of him from the Attorney General, putting the challenger on the defensive and taking the wind out of the sails of Barak's attacks on Netanyahu's own criminal scandals. By the way, I don't have the exact source on this, but there are claims out there that I believe this was in even some of the Staley or the J.P. Morgan. Right? There were some of those things that apparently he was setting up meetings with Netanyahu. So he even had these sort of hookups. So trying to frame this as if it's like one or the other seems a little bit unfair, but whatever. Severely damaged by the revelations, Barak's poorly polling party was forced to form an alliance with several other left-leaning parties to have any hope of winning seats in the Knesset. All right, I think we get the idea of that. Is that he seems it seems like obviously Netanyahu is leaning into the kind of this sort of dynamic. Moving on, if you guys want to read more about that, you can. I just kind of, hey, why is Netanyahu sharing this? All right, he's still leaning into that that binary, trying to get himself away from this. But kind of going back to the theater game, we have Ron Wyden. He's claiming that his staff is going to be releasing a report showing more chicanery over the J.P. Morgan chase with those executives. So you're kind of to the similar point we were just talking about. Kind of more exposure perhaps coming, and kind of a little bit of the left-right game occurring here as well. Let's be real. I don't know this guy's. I don't know enough about Ron Wyden, but you're a political actor in Washington D.C. I mean, it's hard to believe that you don't have a little bit of dirt on your under your fingernails as well. More continue to wade through this pool of Epstein information. Here's from Liz Cronkin. Is talking about an email about Pizzagate. Figured, hey, we'd read this one. Why not? Hadn't gotten a chance to look through it. We'll find out if it's worth a damn. This is to Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, no, it's to Weingarten from Jeffrey, and then obviously then vice versa. So the first one is from Jeffrey to Reed Weingarten. This is his lawyer. So it says, so what does Pizzagate have to do with President Clinton? It says President Clinton's involvement in Pizzagate has been peripheral until now. But the scandal is opening closets that both Bill and Hillary Clinton would have wished stayed closed. Bear in mind, this is from Jeffrey Epstein. This is pretty wild. However, last month, The Guardian reported that during the second presidential debate, Donald Trump brought along 4 women who have accused Bill Clinton of sex crimes, including rape. It says UK broadsheet surmised that this was an attempt by Trump to deflect from allegations of misogyny and sexual misconduct by Trump himself. As time has passed, the specter of billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein has reemerged. Is perhaps Clinton's relationship with Epstein that has the greatest bearing on Pizzagate. Obviously, sounds like he kind of copied and pasted parts. He copied and pasted. It sounds like I'm having a brain fart. It sounds like he copied and pasted part of the article and sent it to his lawyer. And then now the lawyer. Now here's what the lawyer had to say. Which. Wow. He goes, this is what the Reed Weingarten, Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer, in response to Jeffrey Epstein, says, yikes, my boy Jeffrey is everywhere. Okay. All right. I guess we can read into that whenever you want. To be fair, I guess it's a little bit more salacious than anything conclusive, but that opens my eyes a little bit. Then also, if that didn't open your eyes, hey, this guy's been bumping elbows with all the big tech people, Zuckerberg namely being one of them, and Zuckerberg, whose claim was that Elon Musk is the one who introduced them. Just a reminder of that. Says Epstein remained a fixture in elite circles even after he was a registered sex offender. So a few years ago, for example, he was a guest at a dinner in Palo Alto hosted by LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman for the MIT neuroscientist Ed Boyden. At the dinner, Elon Musk introduced Epstein to Mark Zuckerberg. Mark met Epstein in passing one time at a dinner honoring scientists that was not organized by Epstein. Zuckerberg spokesman Ben LeBolt told me Mark did not communicate with Epstein again following the dinner. And it's funny, we were talking about weird nerd bro shit earlier on the beginning of the show. Well, Epstein was linked up with the tippy top of the nerd bros as well. Don't sleep on the nerd bros. Here is Glenn Greenwald commenting on Chomsky's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. It says the obvious affection and intense friendship Chomsky had with Epstein is truly baffling and hard to reconcile with everything else one knows about Chomsky. But this letter that we're about to read is in Chomsky's own word and leaves no doubt about the depth of their relationship. So here's a letter of recommendation that Noam Chomsky wrote for his valued friend Jeffrey Epstein. So let's go ahead and read this. Noam Chomsky's letter of recommendation for Jeffrey Epstein. Let's go ahead and read this. To whom it may concern, I met Jeffrey Epstein half a dozen years ago. We have been in regular contact since, with many long and often in-depth discussions about a very wide range of topics, including our own specialties and professional work, but a host of others where we have shared interests. It's been a most valuable experience for me. In the area of his own direct engagements, I have learned a great deal from him about the intricacies of the global financial system, about complex technical issues that arise in the often arcane world of finance, and about specific cases in which I have a particular interest, such as the financial situation in Saudi Arabia and current economic planning and prospects there. Jeffrey invariably turns out to be a highly reliable source with intimate knowledge and perceptive analysis, commonly going well beyond what I can find in the business press and professional journals. Turning to my own special interest in linguistics, cognitive science, and philosophy of language and mind, Jeffrey constantly raises searching questions and puts forth provocative ideas, which have repeatedly led me to rethink crucial issues. We have also had, for me, very rewarding discussions on many other topics. For example, the prospects for artificial intelligence, deep learning, multi-layered neural nets, automation and robotics, singularity and related matters, exploring the claims and predictions and looking closely at the results that have been achieved, their intellectual contributions and social import. We have also discussed many other issues ranging from intellectual history to world affairs and contemporary geopolitics to foundations of mathematics to such matters as recent discoveries about communications in the plant world. He has also tried, so far with limited success, to carry forward my wife Valeria's efforts to introduce me to the world of jazz and its wonders. Whatever comes up, Jeffrey not only has a lively interest, but also unconventional and challenging ideas and thoughtful suggestions. Man, this guy does fucking everything, huh? Given the range and depth of his concerns, I suppose I should not have been surprised to discover that Jeffrey was repeatedly been able to arrange, sometimes on the spot, very productive meetings with leading figures in the sciences and mathematics and global politics, people whose work and activities I looked into, though I never expected to meet them. Once, when we were discussing the Oslo agreements, Jeffrey picked up the phone and called the Norwegian diplomat who supervised them, leading to a lively interchange. On another occasion, Jeffrey arranged a meeting with former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, there's that name again, whose record I'd studied carefully and written about. We had to have our disagreements and had a very fruitful discussion about a number of controversial matters, including one that was of particular interest to me, the TAPA negotiations of January 2001, in the framework of President Clinton's parameters, events that remain obscure and controversial because the diplomatic record is still mostly secret. Barak's discussion of the background was illuminating, also surprising in some ways. In very different areas, much the same was true in meetings Jeffrey arranged with evolutionary biologists, neuroscientists, mathematicians, and computer scientists, several of them engaged in exciting work at the limits of understanding in their fields, sometimes with perspectives quite different from mine. More lively interchanges in which Jeffrey was once again an active participant, often an effective gadfly. The impact of Jeffrey's limitless curiosity, extensive knowledge, penetrating insights, and thoughtful appraisal is only heightened by his easy informality without a trace of pretentiousness. He quickly became a highly valued friend and regular source of intellectual exchange and stimulation. Noam Chomsky, this is an institute professor at MIT, laureate professor at the University of Arizona. Wow. Glowing words for Jeffrey Epstein, who was actually noted for being kind of fucking retarded by many intellectuals, so find it quite funny he was able to get Chomsky to write this glowing review of him. Weird how these relationship games work on the big stage, isn't it? All right. Moving on to the next one. I think I'm gonna couch this one, but I figured I'd at least let you guys know this is a story out there, kind of in the vein of these drop site stories that are coming out that are nailing the Epstein story to the wall, just taking the Israel balls and just throwing darts to the wall with them. just over and over again. Here is another one from Drop Site. Jeffrey Epstein pursued Swiss Rothschild Bank to finance Israeli cyber weapons empire. And now here's a quote from him on Ariane de Rothschild. It says, "It was said to me, if Ehud Barak wants to make serious money, he will have to build a relationship with me, take time so that we can truly understand one another," which, I mean, this is what we're clawing at. I mean, I've talked about before that there are many who surmise, for good reason, that he may have been, it may even go further than just, on the face of it, he was some Israeli intelligence. Well, I think there are levels above that, and I think that's where Epstein was at, namely, once you get to the sort of Rothschild sort of people. Moving on, this kind of perfectly segues into our next topic that we'll be getting into after this. Let's take a moment to focus in on the only no vote in the recent Epstein Files bill, Representative Clay Higgins, who has been getting a lot of shit for this. Absolutely hilarious. So I'm pretty sure, as I said the other day, he's the one though that like kind of put his foot in his mouth by making a grand political gesture about how he was going to vote before Trump did his inevitable little 180 and completely changed his. So now Clay Higgins has to, not look like a bitch and do a 180 as well and make it look like he's just doing whatever Trump says. So yeah, but apparently, everyone's kind of making the look into his hard drive type of jokes. Well, apparently there's a little bit more to it than just jokes, as friend of the or as Boltzmann Booty had to say here. He's saying, very true detective. He's got a few excerpts from articles we're going to look through here in a second. This is a New Orleans cop whose cop buddies engage in sex trafficking and incestuous child rape has ascended to Congress and has used his position to vote against instituting protections for child sex trafficking victims and releasing Epstein information. While it does seem like what may have just been a funny initially, there may be some skeletons in his closet. Perhaps he should have voted yes. So here's from Newsweek, full list of people who voted against. Only Clay Higgins. Here's a article from October 25th, 2024. It says Clay Higgins, this is from Mother Jones, built his brand on Law & Order. He pals around with a man guilty of incest. So the Mother Jones investigation has revealed troubling connections between the Louisiana Republican congressman and fellow former cops accused of severe misconduct. Now, digging into this article, it says one of the most troubling of these connections, which has not been previously reported, is with an old friend from the St. Landry Parish Sheriff's Office, Leon Boudreau. Yeah, this does sound like some True Detective shit. Higgins has been a member of the motorcycle group dubbed the Kindred Vets that Boudreau founded, and the two are seemingly close. They appeared together in numerous photos posted to one of Higgins' Facebook pages, and they are also pictured together in photos hosted by the Kindred Vets in 2022 and 2023. In 2021, a year prior to Higgins posting a photo with his hand clasped with Boudreau's, a New Mexico jury convicted Boudreau of incest after a teenage relative accused him of sexually assaulting her between the ages of 14 and 18. Then here's more. It says Jared Prunty is another former cop in Higgins' orbit who caught the attention of law enforcement. 2019, Louisiana police arrested Prunty and 9 others following a 17-month investigation while he was working in Higgins' district office as a field representative. Police alleged that Prunty was part of a sex trafficking ring involving Chinese women who were reportedly forced to live and perform sex acts at local massage parlors. We are shocked and saddened to learn of allegations against Jared, a spokesperson for Higgins said in a statement before Prunty resigned. It says prosecutors did not pursue charges against Prunty, who did not respond to requests for comments sent by email. Wild stuff. By the way, he says here he meant to say Louisiana, not New Orleans. So he wasn't a New Orleans cop. He was a Louisiana cop. But either way, not looking good. And it will kind of perfectly segue right into our next topic on modern Satanism. Let's roll through the chat, check in on you guys, though, see what you guys got to say. Be sure to hit that like button, help a brother out. Feels like the algo has been a little bit rough lately. There has been all sorts of murmurs. They've been talking about implementing AI stuff to fuck with the algo so they can individualize it far more. So we need to be retards together strong here and help boost some shit. So help a brother out. Good morning, IB. Good to see you in there. T. Hitchcock says Epstein trafficked nobody to nobody. Quit besmirching his upstanding legacy. He says he just liked to party and did it all for the love of the game. Yep. Good morning, Black Eye. Good to see you here. Liz Crocken is sketchy as fuck in my opinion, says Real John Doe. Yeah, I've felt the same vibes too. So I also I do, bear in mind, that email. I mean, I would assume, feel free, if someone wants to go double check, see if that email is in the email drop. I mean, it sounds legit, but yeah, Crocken is sketchy. It does seem sketchy to me. So, somebody said audio gone. Was I playing something with audio a minute ago? And okay, never mind. Never mind. They figured it out. It was their end. Comment Mama says, isn't it loosely based on the Hosanna Church ring or SA ring, sexual assault ring? You're referring to True Detective. It is. Yes, the Hosanna Church ring. I think Austin did an episode where he covered all that. Interesting stuff. There's only 3 likes. This is on Rumble. Bump that likes up. What the fuck? There's over 30 of you guys on Rumble. There should be far more likes. Help the brother out. All right, let's get into the Epstein stuff. Not Epstein, to the Satanism. Kind of starting off with 764 type stuff here. So here's from Fox News. Nationwide crackdown. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino says the Bureau is ramping up efforts to dismantle the 764 network, an online child exploitation ring tied to more than 300 ongoing investigations across the U.S. The 764 network is a heinous child exploitation ring that often targets children online and coerces them into acts of violence, self-harm, animal abuse, suicide, and sexual violence, Bongino warned. Well, now, I think this has a lot to do with the fact that... let's watch this real quick. I just happened to look in the replies and see. Here's Anna Paulina Luna. Let's see what she adds to this discourse. Here's a little clip she put in the replies. Oh, of course, the audio's out. Give me a second. She'll give you a quick breakdown of the situation. Get it from Representative Luna.
That they're finding in the state of Florida and then also Tampa Bay. One of the top issues, and I'm telling you guys this because I know there's a lot of parents that follow me, is child sexual assault material. So CSAM material through the roof. Actually, one of the most dangerous things that these agents are doing is serving the warrants on these people, because a lot of time when they find out that they've been busted for this, especially in the state of Florida, they know they're going to jail. But then also they made us aware of a group called 764, which is cautionary if you're going to Google it, but it is a exploitive group. I think that they're international terrorists running this, but they're specifically targeting young women that are vulnerable, using sex exploitation, and then encouraging them for self-harm, mutilation, and suicide.
All right. Well, I think this mostly came back up recently again because there was someone who came on to Sean Ryan to talk 764. Well, a little inside baseball here. Oh, I think my cat just knocked over something. Sorry. Just noticed something. All right. The cat knocked over a backpack over there. Anyways, little inside baseball. Friend of the show, BX. She's been on here multiple times. Go check out my 764/09A playlist. There's a few episodes with her in there where we go into that. Also a good spot if you want to learn a little bit more about that, all of that, go a little bit into the weeds. But she actually was initially, a while back, supposed to go on to Sean Ryan's show to talk about 764. And funny enough, this came up recently. There were a weird spat between her and Kyle Seraphin. This was happening around that time, and he essentially spiked that whole interview. So this stuff all kind of matters. But I'm going to read BX's post here to kind of give a little bit more background. She says, I felt sick watching Sean Ryan's 764 interview. He acts shocked like he's hearing about it for the first time. And yet, here's a voice recording of ex-Fed Kyle Seraphin bragging about getting my appearance on Sean's show canceled back in March. At the same time, he was threatening me, smearing my character, and telling everyone I was crazy for talking about 764. Sean Ryan knew about the 764 pedophile network almost a year ago, back when very few people did because of me. He watched silently as Kyle tried to threaten and censor me into silence for trying to tell the world about it on Sean's show. Sean could have apologized and stood up for me, but he didn't. He was complicit in covering up 764 and suppressing the biggest voice talking about it. No, I wouldn't let it go, and you shouldn't either. And I think, I guess on the theme, the kind of this weird relationship, relational podcast game that occurs in the background, kind of this weird. these weird sort of stuff. This is an example of this sort of gay shit that happens behind the scenes, and the sort of bizarre actors who do bizarre things. So I think this is worth knowing that for any of you guys that may have happened to have gotten hip to 764 in the past week or so because the Kyle Seraphin or because of that interview. Well, there's more background. It's not as simple as oh, Sean Ryan is a big truth teller covering this. I mean, great, he's covering it now, but this is the sort of conversation he was having a while back in, does it say when? March, back in March. So it's what, January? So it's 8 months ago? Yeah, so it was 8 months ago. So, and now he's just now covering it, but here's the reason why he didn't before, because of stuff Kyle Seraphin was saying behind the scenes.
I got a phone call from Sean Ryan show asking me if I knew anything about Becca. And I was like, yeah, I dealt with her a while ago. The stuff she said is completely unsubstantiatable. It is not anything that anybody gives a shit about that is a serious counterterrorism person. And it is a minimal credible threat. So somebody who sits there and talks about it is off base, if not a bad faith actor. So I just said, you don't really need the clout and you don't need the clicks. So I wouldn't put her on my platform and have somebody exposed, because I haven't done too much digging, but it's pretty clear that it's full of shit because I spent several years doing counterterrorism. So they were like, okay, cool. We were kind of getting
now,
that
to be
vibe
very
too.
clear, I've said in the show, and I know a lot of my audience has even said that BX has a little bit more of a tendency to be more trusting in the feds than we are. So I get some people, but I don't know. I mean, I've been following the 764 thing for a while, and trust me, I am beyond schizoid, beyond fucking paranoid about this shit. I'm completely open to the idea that the feds are doing fed shit, and somehow through the 764, this is all fed fuckery. And this is to some degree some put on. Now, I also think there's obviously a lot that's real. I'm completely open to fed shadow games, but there has been enough reporting on this to such a ludicrous degree. You can go follow a lot of Ken. Ken's done a lot of great work on that. Ken Silva, he's covered a lot of the 764 arrests and stuff. And I mean, sure, I guess this could be just some shadow network of them somehow setting up fake stings or this or that. But I think there really are some people that are, manipulating young children into harming themselves and sending them sexual images and using this as a vicious cycle of abuse in which to create a parasitic relationship upon them for whatever their sick, twisted fucking ends are. And it's a little bit weird that Kyle was here seemingly running cover for it. So I don't know. Now, to be fair, that can also be true and be I also think that there are some glowy fingerprints all over this, especially as you zoom out, especially you look how it started and how it got from where it is to where it is now. I think there's probably even vectors that these actors still tap into, although I think a lot of it probably is very much so kind of organically run on its own to some degree. But yeah, a little weird. BX of those aside, I think Ryan Montgomery did a great job explaining 764, and I have nothing but respect for him and his work. He explained it way better than I do. This has nothing to do with him at all. One thing they did not touch on was the mass shooter terrorism connection, which was disappointing. That's the scariest part of the whole thing, in my opinion. I wonder why Sean Ryan would avoid that topic. I could give more criticisms, but I won't. Getting the message out about 764 is still good, no matter what the circumstances. So even there, BX kind of pointed out, even her having a little bit more of a slightly trusting flavor than I guess people on our show would typically like. Even she's kind of being come on, let's be real. There's a little bit of a nudge. Would have been nice for you to dig into that a little bit. So, yeah. Moving on more along this veins, I figured let's dig a little bit deeper into this. I haven't completely looked into this to see exactly what she's trying to express here, but she has a clip digging a little bit kind of into the bigger brain portion of some of this stuff. So let's play the clip, and then we'll kind of tie it into the larger thing going on here.
Not just because of the hearings, but in fact, the large majority of this book was written before January 6th. This book got picked up on December 12th, 2020.
Jesus.
Where,
Actually, let's back up. I'm going to read the caption real quick to give a little context. It says, yesterday I posted a clip of Malcolm Nance saying he worked alongside the CIA to create a non-classified version of the Russian report that was given to Obama. This is Malcolm Nance discussing how he predicted January 6th and that he wrote a book about J6 months before it happened. Malcolm and others, including Mary McCord, who was sending information to the FBI, according to Carol Lenig's book Injustice, were watching everything that was being said online before January 6th. I would not be surprised to find out that they crafted a narrative based on what people were saying online, including the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, and then created a script of sorts for January 6th that would explain why Norm Eisen's J6 filmmaker Nick Custid and his crew were in all the right places at the right times, including the J5 garage scene between Enrique Tarrio and Stuart Rhodes, which was used to say that J6 was a planned insurrection. Nick was accompanied by an FBI confidential or CHS, which I think it was something like an informant, I think. Nick and his crew were also filmed right after the initial breach. Mary, Norm, and all of their partners then ran the sham J6 committee in lawfare. Malcolm said he worked with the Democratic Party leadership to form the sham committee. Nick Custid was a witness of the J6 dog and pony shows, and his footage was used during the second bogus impeachment in the hearings. Knowing that Malcolm was involved in the Russian collusion hoax along with his fellow spy museum board member John Brennan, I would say this scenario is plausible as the progressive democracy cult proves what lengths they will go to stop Trump populism every day. Perhaps someday we'll find the truth. The J6ers deserve it. So that is the context that we're getting here. So let's watch. He's talking about this book, I think, too. Also, they want to kill Americans, but let's play this.
We are talking a lot about January 6th here, not just because of the hearings, but in fact, the large majority of this book was written before January 6th. This book got picked up on December 12th, 2020.
Jesus.
Where, my poor editor was like, yeah, this book's never going to sell. Nothing's ever going to happen. And that's not true. She actually was like, this terrifies me. Something could happen. Boom. January 6th happens 25 days after we signed for this book. And it's like somebody had said, look, Malcolm had written all these notes. Why don't we just execute them? And, he tried to do something special. He went way far out of his way. Let's overthrow the United States government. But what was happening, in fact, was I was seeing all of the indicators and the people and the players leading up to January 6th. And I saw where they were testifying yesterday, the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, the 3% militias were having conferences. That's all in this book. I saw that a year and a half ago in real time. And there's only one reason those three groups would be organizing together: to overthrow the government of the United States. But again, they're offended that they got intercepted doing this because if you're a white Trump voter, you're allowed to break laws. Breaking laws is for minorities. Breaking laws is for those, women in their uteruses, right? Breaking laws is not for white men who have bass boats, who may actually have. The Washington Post did a study that the majority of the MAGA voters and the people who want to overthrow the government are business owners, small business owners. And what you're seeing is they think they own America. You do not.
Title is They Want to Kill Americans: The Armed Militias, Fanatical Terrorists, and Deranged Ideology of the Coming Trump Insurgents.
Oh, you're talking about the right-wing, those people?
Yeah, exactly as I predicted on Bill Maher's show on November 6th, that we were headed into an insurgency.
So you predicted January 6th.
Well, we saw it.
By the way, for the audio people, these are two different clips. Now this is something from the Al Franken podcast with him, the same guy.
Coming. It was pretty easy to call.
Yeah, you seem to call these things. You did that, actually. You called the Russian... The first one I mentioned, the plot to hack America, you called that before the 2016 election, and we didn't know about it till after.
Yeah, well, that was a pretty easy call also. And this is where I get into trouble with journalists and why for years, even people in channels that I was associated with were calling this stuff conspiracy theory, because the news media is not the intelligence community. And when I see something, I see it through completely different eyes than a journalist. I see it through decades
I hope so.
of intelligence collection. Yeah. And I can see patterns where they cannot. I see operations that they would never have been exposed to unless somebody really dropped the ball like Snowden, right? And just told you everything. But even with that information, you don't know how the bread is made. You don't know how the waves work. And so the Russian operation, I immediately saw as a Russian intelligence operation. It had all the hallmarks of these old Soviet information warfare operations moving at the speed of a keystroke. And so the Mueller report validated it just recently. We had it validated again by the Treasury Department. But, that's why you have spies.
I've heard a couple people say, well, it's finally been established that the Trump's colluded. And I'm thinking, like, what? Baloney.
All right, so that was Malcolm Nance. I guess he worked alongside the CIA to create a non-classified version of the Russian report. What did he do? Who is this guy? He was involved in the Russian collusion. Okay, so I'm assuming some sort of glowy of some sort. Let's let's grok it. Let's ask who this guy is. Just curious, who is this guy? Malcolm Nance. So give it a second. I thought this would be quicker. Whatever. Malcolm Nance. Who is this guy? A former intelligence officer. Okay, so that clears up a lot. He's an author. In his 2021 book, They Want to Kill Americans. So that's what he's talking about at the beginning, that literally the book was being written before even. So it's kind of this almost like, oh, I saw this coming. And okay, so he's an intel officer. Okay, that adds another component here. Makes it look a little sketchy. And that kind of, I think I see where BX is going with there. I know you guys may not see how we connect 764 from that to this. But if you've been following along with our coverage in the past, then you get it. But to lay it out, what she's saying here, she says Jade Parker worked for Malcolm Nance, so at his think tank TAPSTRI, Terror Asymmetrics Project on Strategy, Tactics, and Radical Ideologies. After having her work on accelerationism stolen and being bullied in submission by her colleagues, Jade made a series of frantic tweets claiming that she knew who the Capitol pipe bomber was. She called her traitor colleagues, including Mary McCord, who we just mentioned in there, another person, Mary McCord, of those group of odd people, terrorists, and accused them. She called her traitor colleagues terrorists and accused them of criminal misconduct. Then she vaguely threatened to expose everyone involved and alleged to have a dead man switch. Jade went missing shortly after this. When I found an archive of the Google document she called her dead man switch, it appeared to be unfinished. When I made my video about Jade Parker, whose research included pivotal information on understanding the Order 9 Angles cult, which influenced the 764 network, I began to be encircled by a number of shady characters. The person who attacked me the hardest was Kyle Seraphin, an ex-Fed turned podcaster whose entire grift is undermining the Trump administration and accusing random people of being the pipe bomber without evidence. The plot thickens. Now this is a little bit with accelerationism. It's kind of the bigger brain side of like the 764 stuff, and it kind of ties into like more of the 09A, which is like the overarching like concept that a lot of people think, from there 764 was spawned off of. And there is kind of big brain, literally accelerationism, the idea of creating aeonic change, or there's all different ways it's characterized in different ideologies, but this essentially the idea that chaos and control, the idea that we'll institute chaos, and out of the chaos we will get control. That's literally what it is. And when you have things like 764 and then 09A, once you understand, yes, they have different, slightly different aesthetic about them, slightly different flavors, but at their core, that's what they are, is an accelerationist tactics, just to varying degrees. 764 obviously being to a great degree, because young men, participating in these sort of trauma cycles and trapping numerous other people into them, and creating a whole sorts of webs of trauma that cycles spin off of. You're creating you're accelerating like a motherfucker is what you're doing. So, and then out of there, you kind of create this weird decentralized network of people who have dirt on them that you can tap into and have leverage to be able to get certain things accomplished in the way that you want. So I know it sounds a little bit, holy shit, that's a big wide network of wild shit going on, but welcome to the internet. And moving on. And speaking of the internet and how it operates, a friend of the show, Dana Duda, had some stuff removed in her. Here's what for harassment and cyberbullying. So it was a video removed pertaining to the Epstein Scientology connection and Candace, all this TPUSA thing. Talking about the John Mappin guy that we've covered in the show that's on the Epstein book, who has been this guy weirdly coming to the aid of Candace. Seemingly might have some odd connection to perhaps how Candace met her husband too. So looks a little shady, but I think it's worth mentioning that, hey, she's literally getting stuff removed. So things from the Black Book. Says, this has been, we think your content violated our policy on personally identifiable information. This is at 38 seconds. You know what happened at 38 seconds? I'm doing it right now. So get me to YouTube. I'm literally showing a piece of Epstein's little black book. And it shows John Mappin of 30 South Acre, Hyde Park Cross, London, W2-001-310-854-547-803-706-71650. Bear in mind, you guys should follow me on Rumble and on the audio podcatchers as well. Because this is literally exactly what Dana Duda got her video taken down for. So, but I will not abide by that. Just a reminder, truth is truth, and this is real. John Mappin, he was in the little black book. Doesn't necessarily mean anything happened, but he was in that black book, and it is worth mentioning. But to kind of shore up a little bit of the weird connections, let's keep on keeping on. Here's a article. Here's a tweet or thread Dana put out recently that is kind of connecting this Satanism, a little bit of a Satanism from I guess you could say my youth, and connecting it to today, from Aquino to all the way up till TPUSA, and then we'll finish this segment here in a minute and kind of with a perfect little dismount into bringing all these things together. Here's Dana saying, anyone else find it odd that Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Ipsissimus, Michael Aquino's co-author of From PSYOP to Mind War, The Psychology of Victory, Paul E. Valley, is an advisory council member of Turning Point USA? Just me? So here's Paul Valley, an advisory council member. It says Paul E. Valley is a major general. U.S. Army retired, was born in Dubois, Pennsylvania. He retired in 1991 from the U.S. Army as Deputy Commanding General of the U.S. Army Pacific in Honolulu, Hawaii. General Valley graduated from the U.S. Military Academy at West Point and was commissioned in the Army in 1961, serving a distinguished career of 32 years in the Army. General Valley is a graduate of the Infantry School, Ranger, and Airborne Schools, Jumpmaster School, the Command and General Staff School, the Industrial College of the Armed Forces, and the Army War College of Combat Service in Vietnam, including positions as Infantry Company Commander, Intelligence Officer, Operations Officer, Military Advisor, and Aide-de-Camp. He has over 15 years' experience in special operations, psychological, and civil military operations. He served in many overseas theaters to include Europe and the Pacific Rim countries, as well as 2 combat tours in Vietnam. Ding, 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 ding. He has served on U.S. security assistant missions on civilian military relations to Europe, Japan, Korea, Thailand, Indonesia, and Central America, with in-country experience in Indonesia, Colombia, El Salvador, Panama, Honduras, and Guatemala. And those are all some minor ding-dings as well. He has served as a consultant to the Commanding General of the Special Operations Command, as well as the DoD Anti-Drug Encounter, and then it kind of goes off there. Here is a picture of PSYOP to Mind War, The Psychology of Victory by Colonel Paul E. Valley. Here's the guy with Michael Aquino. This is one of the things Michael Aquino is most well known for. It's a small little pamphlet he wrote supporting the idea of mind war, and essentially the idea of kind of transitioning the concept of what they're doing over there from the PSYOP to mind war. Essentially kind of a different, what is the difference between a PSYOP and a mind war, and his argument for why they should be perpetuating mind war as opposed to PSYOPs. So recommend reading it. You'll get a little bit of an insight into the world of these military and PSYOP spooks. They literally are saying what they are. Also, just look at this guy. Look at that Count Chocula looking motherfucker. All right. Or in a later edition, Aquino includes Dr. John C. Lilly and Paul Krasner in his dedication section of the book. Oh, and Dr. Thomas Zaz, Scientologist and co-founder of the church's front group, Citizens Commission on Human Rights. Which Paul Krasner, if you follow, especially if you follow Dana, you know this. He glows quite a bit. Here's Thomas Zaz, picture of him with Tom Cruise at the annual Citizens Commission on Human Rights. So this is a Scientology, type of organization. Paul Krasner is that weirdo who I believe he's running The Edge, I think, which is I think he was the editor for that magazine. I think that was directly funded by Epstein or something. Very weird when you get into that when you go down that rabbit hole. So she says, turning point indeed, says Dana Duda, pointing out this is bizarre. Let's watch this.
Anyways, I think I was saved. And I look back and I think I was saved by this weird pull that I had to go to the UK. It was, now I realize, an unexpected anomaly. My husband, how I met him, this unplanned trip on nobody's calendar. Nobody was setting it up. I just Charlie, get a meeting with whoever, make anything happen. I need to be in the UK. I just think that something good will happen if we go to the UK. And it's kind of beautiful that the person that Charlie reached out to and said, can you put together just any place for Candace and I to speak at, was John and Arena Mappin, the lone donors who wrote that.
By the way, for the audio people, you are missing a little bit of it, a little of a video compilation created by Dana Duda here.
Beautiful letter that has impacted the world. True friends of Charlie who stood up and said that what Turning Point USA is doing is wrong. So yeah, we had an event, and obviously I first laid eyes on my husband, and I have told you guys the truth. I looked at him and everyone's like, why'd you get engaged after 18 days? I have never, it's inexplicable. I looked at him and I felt like I had already known him, and it felt exactly like seeing a sigh of relief. It felt like a sigh of relief. I was like,
Now, to be fair, I've told you guys this before. I married my wife after only knowing her for a few weeks, but to be fair, I was trying to get out of the military dorms, so here we are. Don't know if I'd recommend it. Just kidding. I love my wife. If she's watching this. Just kidding. She's not watching it. But no, yeah. But I'm also not, I don't know, one of the largest influencers in the world. And I don't know. I'm also didn't marry the daughter of, or I guess in her case, the son of what I haven't looked into him. From my understanding, he's some sort of a Zionist millionaire of some sort. So, okay, some sort of weird Zionist and British royalty of some sort. So something weird like that. Dana says, and for those I see asking if the brows always been that way, it seems. She's showing photos of Aquino from when he was born with his creepy little eyebrows. So, and here's his mother sculpting his future Mormon satanic priestess wife as a head as a child in this thread, just in case anyone thought the Mormons weren't involved. So yeah, these things do get weird when you dig into this. Highly recommend checking out Dana Duda's work. But where this kind of all culminates, I guess maybe I'm a little bit ham-fisting the satanic aspect in here. But I mean, we're talking TPUSA, we're talking weird military intelligence. I have a hard time not seeing similar themes here. I think, by the way, for the audio listeners, while I do appreciate you listening to audio, be sure to leave that 5-star review. You are going to miss a little bit out of this one. I think you guys got to watch this. This is something. I'm not one who really is typically someone who gets hung up on body language, but this really is a must watch. We're going to hone in on a few clips just for fun. I haven't watched this whole interview, and I've only kind of caught some of the clips, but I figured we'd watch together some of these clips from this Brian Harpole, Sean Ryan, and it kind of ties together because we were talking about Sean Ryan and him. Let's be real, he kind of glows a little bit. So this is Ryan Harpole, who was I think the head of security for Kirk, which I forget. I meant to look into Ken's previous reporting because I remember there was something pretty damning that made them look really. There were some questions to be had that I doubt Sean Ryan asked. Is I guess what I'm kind of driving at here. But either way, he said a lot of weird shit, and so I figured we'd go through some of the clips of some of the weird shit he said. But this one particularly, the body language, holy shit, watch the body language. And I just also want to hazard, I'm not one of those guys who likes to be one of those people who looks too much into body language, because it usually is not great. But man, it damn near slaps you in the face with this one.
I don't understand. And
By the way, just to, I guess, a little bit more context, I think one of the big things they're going to be talking about in this specific scenario, they're kind of squirrely in how they're talking about it, is the guy who went and got the camera or whatever, and then also did this weird video after. This is like a compilation made by somebody. This is, they show parts of this too. So to be clear, this isn't like a straight, cut right from Sean Ryan's thing. It's also got some edits thrown in to explain some context. But it says, it's not for me to understand why Terry Farnsworth went and shot that secret selfie and declared dead, someone put here.
It's not for me to try to understand that part.
And that part being that one guy, Terry Farnsworth. But let's keep going. He's going to kind of hem and haw more about this.
There was a man on the team.
It's right here, man on the team. That's Terrell Farnsworth. It says right here, a name they will carefully avoid uttering during this entire exchange.
Who, after he was shot, I believe he was on the security team, runs towards the vehicles, hangs out outside the vehicles, and takes, I believe it was the TikTok selfie video.
Someone's clarifying here, and then the video, I'm reading this for the audio people, sorry for the people watching. It says it was not a TikTok. Calling it a TikTok helps frame it as a weird clout post, which Brian will later reinforce. In fact, it was a secret private recording, so this didn't get posted anywhere, I guess. So that makes a little bit even more bizarre.
Do you know who this is? Can you pull this up?
So he's saying he doesn't know who this is.
Jeremy?
Is it the one where he said Charlie just got shot?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's with the audiovisual team.
Okay, so he says, he's with the audiovisual team. It says right here, all right, some caption, something that somebody added. It says, we find out the first time that Terrell Farnsworth does not work for TPUSA. When everyone has assumed for months he does, and TPUSA felt no need to clarify. Actually, let's go back a little bit on that. What is he? Did he really?
Yeah, he's with the audiovisual team.
So he's with the audiovisual team. I don't know if you can say that's not works for TPUSA. I don't know, because I mean, what's the difference between, like, I guess if we're talking the difference between like someone you contracted out or literally is like salary or something. I feel like it's almost like a difference without a distinction kind of deal.
Yeah, it's a company that they contract.
Okay, well, I guess he's clarifying right here. A company they contract
to shoot the footage. It's also the one. He's the guy that went up and
there he is right here.
All right, so now I want people out there to start looking into finding out about this company, but let's go on.
Yep.
They just shot Charlie.
So keep in mind, this is the video. It says, note how they edit out the portion where Farnsworth declares Charlie dead, they put here. Then note how they avoid any discussion of Farnsworth prematurely declaring Charlie dead. So this is the guy, bear in mind, this is the guy who went and got up on that chair, and then, which seemed weirdly almost, or it was like a box, which seemed like maybe it just seemed almost perfectly stationed there for someone to be able to conveniently walk up and step up and grab a thing. But he's the one who came up there and grabbed, I believe, the SD cards out of the camera, and then and then later they're like, act like it was no big deal because they gave it to law enforcement or something, and that's a completely normal thing to do.
They just shot Charlie. They just shot Charlie. They just shot Charlie.
I can tell you. Yeah, he's the one that, if you see him, he's the one that's running the cameras.
It says here, Harpole acts like he doesn't even know Farnsworth's name. Our odd ignorance as head of security.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the audiovisual team guy that's running the cameras. He's also the one that they said that he was hiding footage or whatever, that he turned over all that footage.
Okay, now it says right here, they say, strawman alert. Nobody complained that he was hiding footage. The complaint was that he immediately tainted the crime scene and tampered with critical evidence. Yeah.
The FBI. So,
he did. So this is also the guy that, or was that a security guy? If you look after the event, somebody goes to the camera that was behind Charlie, pulls the camera down,
Same guy.
Looks like he pulls the SD card out.
Same guy.
And that footage is in the hands of the FBI.
Correct.
Wasn't deleted, wasn't erased.
He actually works for.
Somebody's pointing out, why does Harpole keep moving to almost cover his mouth as he talks about this, which he does. It's a little bit weird. It is noticeable. That is. And, well, I mean, I don't like the whole, like, that is that's like literally, like, if you look online, tells of lying. That is literally, like, that's something you'll catch yourself doing if you're lying. You'll do this kind of, like, you naturally try not to make eye contact. You want to cover your face because you're trying to obscure any unidentifiable tells. That's what you're doing. You're instinctually doing it without even noticing it. Now, to be fair, you guys probably catch me. I fuck with my face a lot too. So like I have itchy nose. My stupid little mustache will like catch the inside my nostril. I'm like, fuck, like. So there's obviously like give and take, but it doesn't look good.
The company called VI, and they do their contract AV video people.
So VI is what he said. So someone go look into that.
He's not a security guy. He works for the security, VI, the video company.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, I don't understand, and it's not for me to try to understand that part.
Says once again, he reinforces the false TikTok clout flaming. He says he never publicly streamed or posted that video.
Like the getting on the phone or that. I don't understand that. And you see it a lot nowadays. Tragic things happen.
So this was nothing like we see a lot. Again, this is a secret private video.
Yeah.
Shootouts and people pull their phones out instead of running. And so I don't understand that. That's for him to explain.
It says right here, that's for him to explain. Aren't you the head of security? Aren't you the guy who let him inside the no-go zone? Don't you want to vet this guy, especially after his odd and illegal behavior?
Not me. I know he doesn't work for us, but I also know from seeing some of the stuff that he's the same guy that took down the cameras and people are like, what's going on here? And I'm like, well, that's a legitimate ask. That's a legitimate
I think that too. I don't think that's
a legitimate ask. And where did that go? And he was interviewed and asked and answered an FBI, and that was all turned over.
It says the only question Harbaugh had was whether he gave the footage to the FBI. Really? After all that? By the way, Reed covered it in the chat. So what's up, Jose? It says nice chatting this morning. It sure was. It was nice chatting. Wish I had more time. I had to set up before the show. But yeah, it was a blast talking to you. If you, I did talk about the stuff we talked about. So I don't know, like not too in depth, not to get you too sucked into gay shit. But if you're interested, I don't know, like roughly first 20 minutes or so. So. All right, let's get back into these clips. But yeah, it was good to talk to you, Reed. For anyone asking, he's out there crushing it. Just got dozens and dozens of acres, fucking crushing it in the fucking business world. He's got his own little fucking coochie on lock now, fucking getting ready to live the good life, just fucking crushing it. So don't get too caught up in this gay online shit. But we can do both. We can do both. Let's pop back in on this weirdo. Here's a fun one. I don't really think it's anything particularly damning, but it is. I always gotta make a note of any time they mention my old boy Timmy McVeigh. Obviously, I think that guy fucking sucks, but you know what I mean. Anything Oklahoma City bombing is mentioned. So I guess he mentioned him in relation to the concept of a patsy. So I figured it'd be cool to hear what he had to say. So let's watch this.
He helped him. Is he a patsy? Is he? Was there a group of people?
What's a patsy?
Is he taking the blame for other people, or is he is he part? Is he a lone wolf? But then we all thought Timothy McVeigh was a lone wolf too, right? And then we come to find out, nah, people knew about it. He had assistance, even if it was assistance of we knew you were going to do something, and then we didn't say something. So yeah, I have questions to him. I have questions, and this is horrible because I'm a father. I have questions to his father. Aren't they? He helped him.
So, okay, just fun, whatever. Nice little casual mention of patsies and Timothy McVeigh. But all right, let's get into some more weirdness. Let's watch this last clip, and then we'll get out of here. By the way, I won't be here Monday again, picking up a shift again. Once again, you're welcome to do all the things, give me more money, and make it so it makes less sense for me to go into work. But gonna make a little extra money on Monday, so I'll be back with you all on Tuesday. But yeah, let's play this clip.
You know, there's been a lot of rumors going around about there was no autopsy, none of that. Was there an autopsy?
There was, and I can speak to that. Personally, I can speak to that. One, for those people saying it, do a FOIA. Do a FOIA to the medical examiner's office to Utah County. Get off your lazy ass and do a FOIA. They may not give you the autopsy information right now, but they'll certainly tell you, yeah, there's an autopsy. That's the first one. The second one was the OR doc. Your question earlier about a pulse. We'll get back to that. And so they ended up working him in the room, and they ended up taking him to the OR because they got a pulse.
They did get a pulse?
They did get a pulse. But Charlie was a healthy man.
I call big old bullshit, but let's go on.
He was very cognizant of his health, and he was a strong guy. And
Dave had a pulse?
But
hold on. How long had it been since the shot to the hospital?
I have no idea, but you can.
I mean, that is a jugular shot.
You can be dead. A central nervous system. You got a strong heart, right? And And that's what the OR doc told me.
Okay.
He said that's what it was. And
holy shit.
Dude, get out of here. Come on. That's so fucking stupid. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, sure. I mean, I'm no fucking doctor, and like, I'm sure, yeah, I'm in a much better cardiovascular health. I've been running like all summer. I bet you if you shot me in the fucking neck with a 30-06 right now, and if you shot me in the neck like, I don't know, 6 to 12 months ago when I was a big, like a fat piece of shit, I probably would die a little bit quicker back then. But like, it's marginal. Like, what are we talking about? We're talking about like, okay, you have slightly, and even then there might be an argument you could die just as quick, because if you have stronger cardiovascular health, that means your heart's pumping stronger. So like, I don't know, you could almost make the argument that perhaps you would actually squeeze out the blood at perhaps the same rate. So I don't know, this makes no fucking sense to me. This is beyond retarded. Let's keep going.
Yeah. And so I have no way of, I'm not a doctor. I just know what he told me, you know? And so, we go to that and I'm sorry, what was your question again?
We were talking about the autopsy.
Talking about how full of fucking shit you are.
Oh, the autopsy. And so,
I really don't get why this is held on to. Like, what is going, like, what is the, like, is it like there's some weird, like, Kabbalistic thing where they have to spit in your mouth? Like, what is this? Like, it's just so, like, it's like, this seems like such an utter bullshit. And it's like, if this is bullshit, why, what a weird line of bullshit. Like, you don't need a highly qualified individual to run a cover up to go, hey, don't go with that line. Maybe don't say you got hit in the neck with a fucking 30-06. Maybe don't say that, like, I know that, no, to be fair, I got a lot of shit because, like, I initially kind of, like, made a joke, and I actually didn't realize he was dead. But to be fair, I saw it from an angle, and I thought he just got clipped. Once you get the other angle, and you hit him, see him get hit, you're like, oh, that dude's dead. So yeah, this is, I don't know. I'm sorry. I guess, sure, theoretically possible, perhaps, somehow. But then also you add into it, like, which I don't know, this is probably, I don't even know if this was addressed in this thing, that if you look and you analyze them in the moments after him dying, maybe we missed parts due to like shitty video, but I don't think I ever once saw anything even closely resembling someone fucking putting pressure on the wound. And you're telling me an open fucking carotid artery or whatever the fuck, whatever artery that is, just with no pressure put on it, he somehow made it to the hospital with a pulse? Yeah, you can suck my fucking dick. Let's keep going.
Once they came down and said he didn't make it, and he talked about, he said if he'd have been shot in the OR, I wouldn't have been able to save him. And I was like, I mean, he's just kind of confirming things that I already knew.
Wait, so that actually also doesn't make sense to me either. You're saying this guy made it all the way to the hospital and somehow maintained a pulse, but yet this doctor is giving you some crazy, oh, if this had happened in the hospital, I still wouldn't be able to save him. I don't believe that for a moment. If this guy somehow magically has the fucking, the fortitude to make that trip and maintain living, I think that doctor could have saved him. I don't even think that's a crazy thing to say, assuming all the priors here.
And so, and so I don't know how long, well, I don't know what the timeline was, but I want to say, I can't remember who it was, but I knew, I was like, we're not going to turn this into some JFK. I asked
It's funny, I've already seen multiple people in chat mention JFK's magic, but we're not going to turn this into JFK. It's kind of what you're doing.
Specifically asked one of the doctors, I don't know, I remember what she looked like, dark skin, like dark hair, probably 35, 40 years old. I said, how
Big,
long
juicy
until we can get
booty.
an autopsy? And I remember her saying a day
Big fat Nubian titties.
day and a half. And I was like, oh. And so, I mean, she's the boss of that. That's just information. And so I remember, I was like, man, that's a long time. We need to get this autopsy done and done right so that there's not some conspiracy. So, I mean, you're starting to think forward to that. And so I remember I was standing next to the chief of staff, and the vice president called. And the vice president asked him, "What do you need?" And then he looked at me and said, "What do we need?" And I said, "We need an autopsy now." So for these people that are saying there wasn't one done, go away. It was done. It was done. Do it for you. Yeah. Get the report when it comes out. It was done. It was done.
I have a feeling you probably can't even FOIA that. I'm going to have to follow up on that one. I have a strong feeling him keeps saying, "Oh, get a FOIA, get a FOIA, get a FOIA." I have a feeling there's like a gigantic asterisk there because I don't know. I don't know if this would fall under a FOIA thing. This is like a state level like murder. So like I don't know, the idea that we're entitled to, I don't know that we'd necessarily be entitled to these records because I mean they're not even like this isn't even I know this the FBI has inserted themselves in this, but this isn't even really supposed to be an FBI thing. So it should be like literally the state of Utah. So I don't really know what the rules are on FOIA there. All right, let's man, that's wild. That's a lot to chew on, a lot to think about. That's weird. I might actually have to watch this interview because this is fucking weird. But all right, let's roll through the chat and let's get out of here. Yeah. We got Marnimac saying all you need to know that this is all orchestrated is that everyone involved is on a gag order right now. But head of security can go unpopular and tell the whole story. Yup, it does seem that way. Good morning, Necromechanimal. Good to see you here. Tony Chin saying, do sketchy, something is off, or just hyper paranoid. Yeah, I don't know. This is weird. Kubert saying Charlie Kirk isn't dead. Marnimac saying, I'm really starting to believe Tyler Robinson's AI. Yeah, it doesn't look good. I mean, what do we have of him? What do we even have of him to show that he exists? Like, we have some stuff on his, like, before time stuff, but he could have been dead this entire time. So, like, what do we have for current proof of life? We have that one weird arraignment video where, like, you see him, like, just completely standing still with, like, so to your point of being AI. It literally is like, I think he makes, like, a yup or a yes or some sort of, like, verbal acknowledgement one time. And then the rest of the time is just like maybe like a little bit of a head nod or something. So yeah, I don't know. And then the fact that they don't have the video of him coming in, looking a little rough. I see everyone's saying they're lying in the chat. It's a humiliation ritual. Yup, worse than JFK's magical bullet. Here's Tyler saying my daughter had a friend working at that hospital. She told me her friend said right away he was dead on arrival. See, now that makes sense. Jerry Gordon saying he misses the naturalist capitalist. I sure do too. I miss my friend. I miss Tower Gang. The good old days when we were all together and all friends. Kubert says a friend treated him or she just works at the hospital and that's what she heard. I don't know. Oh, you're talking to Tyler there. Nothing says real like an overproduced interview, says of aggressively agreeing. Marnimac says Candace said the next of kin is the only one that can make it public, so Erica's the only one. Yeah, that's my understanding. So that's why I'm like, I don't get where he gets this idea. See, Tyler says, usually you can't get these unless they're used as evidence in the criminal case. Exactly. So I'm like, get a for you. See this lady with the big black boobies. She told me something about Charlie Kirk, and so get a for you. Just get a for you lazy fucks. I'm gonna split your lip. How dare you say such things about Charlie Kirk? But yeah, here's Kubert saying exactly, or he could have been a made up character from day one. Exactly. I mean, this all feels so fucking weird. I'm not crazy. You're crazy. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. Leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. Do all those things. You can find the show on YouTube. You can find it on Rumble. You can find it on all the audio podcatchers. You can find it on Twitter at Tower Gang Jose. And if you want to support the show in the best way you can do that with money over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. Usually try to keep about 1 to 2 episodes behind the paywall over there. Usually keep about 4 behind that paywall at any given time. You also get access to ad-free RSS feed. You get access to Telegram. You get access to pre-show, post-show, and the video calls on me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, Already Dead, which is on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Also, give a big shout-out to my sponsors at the end of every episode. It's a big thank you for everything they do. My previous co-hosts on Tower Gang, at Learn to Toad, also at Abrogate D's, at CLVRCK, at _Infinite Zeal, Tim Tuttle, at Jolly Cleeble, big fan of the show, Torme, at Wayne Tackless, 1-800-CAR for Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, Mark Vasubule, Jacob Winograd of the Biblical Anarchy podcast. Go check out that podcast if you're really that interested in libertarian infighting type stuff, or if you want more context. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. I hope you guys like this outro. me see if there's any more chats in there from everyone saying goodbye. Marmac saying, I miss TG too, including the whole crew, including Laney and Tyler. Yeah, I miss Laney. I miss my Laney edits. Those were fucking hype. Super hype. RIP Ty G in here. Long one today. It was. It went a little bit long. I didn't mean to. What are you talking about? The Rumble chat? I don't know what you're talking about there. All right, guys. Oh, someone's saying Tyler's in the chat. He's in the YouTube chat. That's what we're talking about. All right, guys. Enjoy this outro. I hope this gives you some laughs. We'll see you all on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern. Maybe again soon. We'll get back to the Monday, Friday shtick. But enjoy this. Love you all. See you. Bye.
Does the White House have a response to these new Epstein emails that show that Trump...
yeah.
He did it.
Who?
Trump did it.
Did what?
He did everything you guys are thinking he did. He and Epstein?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're not denying it?
Nah, fuck it.
Um,
and also we killed Epstein to keep him quiet about this whole thing. Which was obviously a waste of time, but, you know.
Hindsight's 20/20.
Hindsight's 20/20. Wow, I didn't think you'd come out and
Okay, so now that that's out of the way, we're so excited to announce that Trump is going to pardon 5 turkeys this year instead of just one.
But we were just...
This is a kind of joke because he's been doing so much pardoning of like criminals.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's
Wait,
funny. That's
turkeys are funny.
Just move on from
Funniest
this,
flightless bird.
this Epstein thing.
Yeah, nothing's going to happen with that, trust
But this is above and beyond.
Nah, it's not. It's not.
But the Democrats, they might...
No, they won't.
Look, our people are still going to support us no matter what happens. And the Democrats, look at me, and the Democrats are still just going to do infighting about how the progressives aren't trying to understand where the right is coming from enough. And everything's going to go back to normal. So just don't worry about it, you know? Let's just talk turkey. It's better that way. Let's all just talk turkey. Okay? Okay. Okay, let's talk turkey. Also, Trump might have gone down on Bill Clinton.
Turkey.